How dare you?
It's not the Wookiee, but it's something scary. That's right. It's that time of week, folks. It's Freaky Friday, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Hope you're all doing very well out there. Hope you're all enjoying your prolonged time at home, making the most of time, getting plenty to thinking time done, not making too much of all the information that's out there. It is going cray cray right now, and I've had a heck of a week. I don't know about all of you out there, but some weeks are better than others when we're going through this current situation. And this has been a long week, so I'm really glad it's Freaky Friday. And in a little kind of change up, sort of tonight, Scotty Lopez unfortunately is having technical issues now. His brother's going to help him try and reboot everything on his end. But to join me in the meantime, and for the second week on the trot, if I remember rightly, it's Spooky Andy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm going stir crazy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm still busy. So
You still working hard?
unfortunately, yeah.
And how is it where you are? Is life continuing as normal, or is it kind of gone all cray cray?
For me, it's pretty normal, but for people that aren't used to being left alone, I think they're probably losing their mind. There's a
Yeah,
lot of Karens out there with not being able to yell at managers right now and start a bunch of drama with shop owners. So I'm sure they're losing their minds with their minivan and complaints.
yeah, you're probably right there. You are probably right there. But
Yeah.
I tell you, it is a very strange world, and I can't think of a better time to be doing Freaky Friday. Myself and Andy will brainstorm a couple of topics tonight. We'll get you into some good woo, and we'll open up the phones as well for all of you to have your say on Freaky Friday. And we're simulcasting today, so a big shout out to everyone that's tuned in, wherever you are. And of course, remember to visit tfrlive.com/chat to get your name shouted out in the Wookiee roll call. And that's where I'm headed to right now. So over there, we've got me, we've got Sophia the robot, there's Bam, Boy, and now I need to make this bigger because I might get half the names wrong. Boy Solomon, Bellamonte, Psycho Dave 321, Shih Tzu Bigelow 2, probably still one of the best names ever. That's Trudy Glenn, Todd, Cold Brews, Jolly Character. Is that like cousin of the Jolly Rancher? I don't know. Confident Newcomer, Wandering Guest, Melissa Taylor, and Interesting Civilian. And of course, there's so many more, thousands of people tuned in, various ways to listen to your very favourite Freaky Friday. Yes, indeed. And it's a bit weird this time. No Scott, no Joe with me. Joe's going to be back in the next couple of weeks. He is still working at the moment. It's utterly insane, he assures me. But before we get going today, now, Andy, I don't know if you've had a chance to catch this or not, but my favourite person in the world, and I say that more to trigger people than anything else, but Elon Musk was back on Joe Rogan's. Did you see it? Did you catch any of it?
No, I didn't. I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, he was back on yesterday, man. Yeah, really good stuff.
I know he was going on a drunken rampage on Twitter.
Well, he was on Joe Rogan's. He was very coherent. He was, as he always does, very deep. They were getting into the AI, all that kind of stuff. They were also getting into the name of the baby. I don't know if you've checked out that. They're a new little baby, and they've named it X. And then it's AE in Elven, or Elfish language, which means AI, or intelligence, right? And then at the end, that's not the end of the name. It's got X or X12A, XA12. Now, no wonder I'm getting mixed up, right? It's not your stereotypical name for a child, is it?
Well, I mean, we're in the 21st century, and
It sounds more like something you'd find in a test tube, man.
I mean, you never know. It might be the new the new norm.
Is that what we're gonna start doing? We're gonna like give ourselves like designators, or we're gonna give ourselves like codes and things like that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, pretty cool. Tango 69. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a cool kind of moniker for myself.
Foxtrot, Charlie, Unicorn, Echo.
There you go, man. You could come up with all sorts. Who knows? The list is endless. But yeah, pretty weird name for a child. I don't know quite what to make of that one. And the A12, it comes from the Jet, the actual. I think he was talking about the Archangel project. It was the forerunner to the SR. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the big black one. Kind of cool thing.
I thought that was the SR-71
Yeah,
Blackbird.
there was a forerunner to that, which was the
Oh,
A12.
A12 Stealth Bomber. I think that's what that was.
Well, that's where the A12 in this child's name comes from. Because as you do, I mean, you throw in the name of your favorite plane, right?
If I have a kid, his name is going to be the A-10 Warthog. That's my favorite airplane.
You're gonna throw that in there. I mean, you like your
his
kind of
middle name- So he has to get sponsored.
you
and
like
then,
you like drifting and stuff, dude. You could like name it after a brand of tires or something.
the Nito S12.
See, why
A-
not?
Warthog. Do Macho Man Randy Savage.
See, there's only one of them in the world.
Yeah.
You see, it's kind of cray. I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I hope it doesn't catch on, and I'm sure he's going to take a ton of flack for it. But isn't it quite interesting how the baby was born on May the 4th? I mean, come on. What better date for Elon Musk to have a child on, right?
Star Wars baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you reckon it's a little Yoda?
Yes.
Maybe it's growing in the lab out of neural lace, and it was the one that took shape. Maybe that was the name of the test tube.
Maybe.
Maybe that's the closest guess yet. Who knows?
The first test tube to take life in the neural lace department.
He was
And that
talking a
was
lot
their-
about that, dude. He was talking a heck of a lot about that stuff. Oh my. Yeah.
Did he smoke this time?
No. Funnily enough, he didn't cause any controversy. I think the share price of his company will be quite safe this time, to be honest with you.
I don't know. He was talking about how he thinks his stock was too high, and it caused a bit of a disruption in his stock itself. Which, for some reason, I thought that was illegal, but I guess that's only illegal if you say that to make money. And he said it in a while.
To lose it.
I think he's the most epic troll. Like, if he was trying to play a game of who can be the biggest troll in the world, he's winning that game. Like,
Well, he's currently in the process of giving everything up, like all of his, like most of his goods, shall we say, because he's going to keep his Tesla. You know, he's keeping his car and things, but he's going to move into a rented property. He says,
you can come out with me.
he says having all of this stuff, it's just like, it's an attack vector. It just gives people a reason to bitch about something, you know? And I'm thinking,
You know what?
Hey,
If
must be-
SpaceX to me, I'm down with that.
Yep. Yep. I think he's getting ready to just go, man. I think he's out of here. Selling all the
Maybe.
stuff off. What do you need? You know what I mean?
You don't need anything here if you're leaving to Mars.
What would you take with you, man? What would you take if you had 3 things you could take to Mars?
Absolutely nothing.
You just go yourself.
Just myself, and that's it. And you know what? Like, that'd be the story of me
Oh
here.
no, man! I would need podcasts or something, dude. I would need like a bajillion podcasts.
If I'm going to live on another planet, I feel like if you were to live somewhere, off this planet, you shouldn't be taking anything with you from this planet because it holds residual karma, and if you're going to another place, you shouldn't be bringing that karma with you. You should be able to start anew and, go from zero. And I think that like a lot of a lot of things in life could be fixed if we all just dropped the BS and started from zero.
Well, I don't think he's going to drop any of his money, but I think that was kind of where he was coming from. You'd need to listen to it yourself. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I find he's always an interesting listen. I know people will say he's awkward, he's a clone, he's a robotoid. He is what he is, you know, and when he talks about the AI and things like that, he kept on saying time and time again, you know, if we want to go along for the ride, because if we don't go along for the ride with the AI, he says it's basically going to end up eventually where it'll be the equivalent of us talking to a tree. Do you know what I mean? And we'll just be this big gap, you know? And I can see sort of where he's coming from, and I can see the advantages for people with brain injuries and everything else. But he was also talking about, hypothetically in the future, Neuralink 10.0, where right now on our phones and things, we've got cameras, Andy, right? And we record things, and a camera, it records everything in high definition detail. And our memories, as good as they are, well over time and things, they're never accurate, you know? And he says eventually we'll basically be able to relive memories, even the sensory kind of inputs and things that were going on at the time, reliving them in our minds and in high definition, exactly the way that they happened, you know? I'm thinking, oh, damn. Then how do you differentiate between what's either a projected memory or a memory and what's real anymore?
I don't think you can at that
No,
point.
at that point you can't, eh?
That's why it's important for people to put the phone down every once in a while and experience life, and not be recording it to show their friends later. I meant, like, personally, and I preface this by saying this point in general. When I give people a ride in the drift car, because it has a passenger seat, like, I take people with me and they get out of the car and puke usually just because they're scared. But I make it a point to tell them, do not let me see your phone while you're in this car. And it's not that I dislike technology. Obviously, I like technology. I work with robots and AI. Like, it's not that. It's just that if you do not live in the moment, at least 50% of the time, you're not making actual memories. You're not using your brain. You know, you're making your brain just that much more smooth. Like, you need to develop those wrinkles and memories, you know, like the exercising of a room temperature IQ needs to stop. And that's why I'm so against people pulling out their phone to record every second that they can. And it's just like, I get it if it's a car wreck, you know, and you need insurance proof. I can understand that.
UFO maybe.
Yeah, a UFO, something that you have to show someone. But I don't need to see your breakfast. I don't need to see your dog 60 times a day. I got my own dog. You know, like, we get it. Your dog is cute and your breakfast was great, but just put the phone down. Like,
you know, he was kind of talking about the fact that because we have the phones and our devices, we're literally cybernetic anyway. It might not be integrated with us. It might still be an external kind of a device. However, like you say, more and more people are spending good time, their attention, going into that little screen, that window into, well, it's hardly reality. The internet, we all know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they literally call it an android, you know? And not only that, but it's technically a scrying mirror at the same time.
I've thought about, that's been covered before. And for people,
oh, really?
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times, you know, the scrying. That's what Nostradamus used to do. He would scry into a bowl of water and anything with a kind of black reflective surface. And funny how the TV show Black Mirror, you know, that the name of that show itself, it's almost as if you're scrying, looking through it into a dystopic future that, oh, hang on a minute. It's here, big time. But yeah, the scrying. I remember watching a guy scrying one night on most haunted. And this was one of the more respected kind of mediums. David Wells, his name was. Like, there was occasions when he would turn round Andy and say, "Nah, I'm not picking up on anything, you know? Just not feeling it. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it." And then he was doing the scrying thing. But yeah, that's where I first came across it. But I've heard about it a lot.
You know how you covered that story about the God machine and how
Oh,
they
yeah.
found that
Yeah.
lady's in that lady's you know, I told you about that lady,
Mhm.
how she was you know, a psychic or
Yeah.
whatever. She did the scrying stuff in her at her place where she did tarot cards.
I think back in the day, early clairvoyancy and things, I think that was quite a big thing, right? From what I can
Yeah.
make out anyway.
Is the new age science movement for religion stuff, and they adopted so much and moved it over into that realm where they could you know, peddle, you know, stuff.
There's
I
good
don't
stuff
know.
in there, you know. Again, it's you put a label on something. I don't mean you, but us in general. And yet, when you
Yeah.
start to like, you drop your prejudice and you get away from the all, love and light stuff, and look at the actual info. You know, there's some good stuff in there. Same as anything, right? You know, it's got its good and its bad, but I think they've hijacked a lot of the good stuff that I would call quantum biology slash physics, where it's almost like the biology and the physics and the chemistry of how we all connect together, quantum fields, stuff like that, you know, vibrations, even all of that kind of stuff, you know. I mean, even I
Well, we're
laughed
all
a minute ago at me going but that vibrationally, that's a thing, you know.
yeah. I mean, like that's the other thing I was like trying to talk to you about the other day. I don't know if you had like picked up on it, but it was the whole thing with, you know, the E8 lattice structure that we're all connected through is tends to make a lot of sense when you start looking into the connections in between people and how, you know, quantum entanglement through, you know, string theory works, you know, when one particle can be here but be here at the same time thousands of miles away apart, you know, that whole E8 structure starts to make a lot more sense when it comes to the quantum entanglement part of things
I,
in life.
Part of me thinks there's a organic internet
Oh
information
yeah.
superhighway,
Oh,
and then it's almost as if this one we've got now, it's an artificial replica, and we've cut ourselves off from, and we're not even aware of the fact that our own little computer here has the ability to hook into that cosmic
yeah.
superhighway.
I think people tend to use their phone and the internet and, you know, a computer in place of exercising, you know, conscious thought with, you know, other people and exercising a way to actually tap into that field of energy where we all share it, you know.
You know,
Yeah,
Musk
like,
was
you
saying
know,
he was,
the random number generators that went crazy during, you know, that day
yeah.
back in September with the numbers. Yeah. I meant like that, the fact that they were able to record that happening and, you know, no one says a whole lot about it, says a lot more about society as a whole than it does the fact that it actually happened, you know.
You know, my friend Nancy, I don't know if she's listening right now, but when we often get together, it can be a 4 or 5 hour session. But one thing I always take from it, she keeps her eye on all that kind of stuff. And from the remote viewing to the kind of quantum, and even the guy that does, I think it's called the Global Consciousness Network, I think, but it's all random number generator type stuff. And if it wasn't for her, Andy, I would kind of lose my way and forget all about that stuff. Not because I don't find it interesting, but just because there's so much information out there right now that it's like balancing plates, even for the best of people, you know. It's really hard to keep on top of everything, but that whole quantum stuff, the random number generators, and Musk today, he kind of nailed it. because he said sometimes people ask what if we're just a brain in a jar. And he said we kind of are. You know, our skull's a jar, and everything is going through our brain. All of our senses, all of the input, you know, all of that data, everything, the outputs as well, our movements, everything goes through that brain in the jar. So quite literally, we are just a brain in a jar, man.
You know, something that always kind of fascinated me is that
Oh, hang on now.
Brown chicken, brown cow, love you, show Scouse girl.
Now that was awesome. Now it was a bit quiet, the brown chicken, but at least it worked this time. Thank you very much, Scouse Girl.
yeah, I thought Brian was broken.
No, he's back now. He's back. He's got over his hissy fit. He's made up with Greta. He's cool. He's good to go. And I hope Scotty gets this rig up set up as we go in deeper into the show, because he would absolutely love this conversation. But I want to ask you, Andy, right? Let's shift gears into something still woo. Talking
Yeah.
about orbs last night, and I noticed you had messaged me on Skype, but I couldn't read it right, because see, when I've got somebody on Skype, if I go to read your message and I'm recording on the back end, then that's going to come up on the screen, and it's all going to... So I couldn't look at it at the time. So what's your take on orbs, man?
I forgot what I said actually. I thought it was just some you know.
It must have been something pretty profound. It must have really came to you at the time, dude.
Dude, I had a point, but like, my ADD won't let me remember.
I'll get it on
things
my
like that.
phone, right? I'll get it on my phone. I'll try and find it on my phone. There we go. But yeah, what do you make of orbs, though? What about last night's guests? They were quite cool, man.
That was very cool. You know, my personal thing with the orb stuff, I've never seen them because, like, you know, I'm talking like,
Whoa, dude, that's pretty weird. You've been mentioning the pineal gland.
yeah. So this, yeah. Okay, now I remember. It was just a hypothesis. Is like, what if? Okay, what if when you see those orbs, if it's an actual orb, if it is your pineal gland's expression of energy from the next place. So, because I swear to God, they're always at head level. They're never on the ground. They're never way up here, but they'll be about where the height of someone's head is. And this is why I said that, is because your pineal gland is basically right about here-ish, there-ish, and about there-ish. And that's right where your pineal gland is. And they say that's your third eye, and that it is a projection of self, I guess, or whatever. I don't know how to explain that, I guess, without reading something.
I do see where you're coming from, eh? And it is quite interesting how it's always floating mid-air type thing. I get it. Yeah, why not?
They look like they do this, like someone's walking.
Yeah.
Or they go like this and then like that, and then they go from
Welcome
right in
to
front of
Smoke a
someone's
Bomb
face,
Feisty
and then
Friday
they.
all night long.
I don't know why that's so quiet, but I'll try and get that turned up later on. Thank
I
you
didn't know
very
it-
much, DJ, King, and Julie. But yeah, the orbs, and I was talking about Jason's orbs, the red ones, the blue ones. Again, a lot of it, right? 99%, even when I watch the TV shows with the air quotes, the best ghost hunters out there, sometimes they talk about orbs, and I'll be looking at Anne thinking, that ain't an orb. You know, it's quite obviously quite unsettled dust and things like that. But there is those ones that just stand out, like the guest said last night. They're so different. Whoa! Thank you very much.
Cabe Smith 2020 support for my favorite YouTuber.
I'll need to turn it up during the break or something. I'll get that fixed. Thank you so much. But yes, we're almost coming up on the first break. And when we come back after that, I've got a couple of stories we can get into. I'll be asking Andy about some of the shows we were doing as well. Get his take on Skinwalker Ranch. I'll try and find out what he thinks is going on there. But as the show progresses, don't you fear, because we're going to open up the phones. And I want to hear your woo, because I tell you, it always blows my mind Some of the best stories we can get to, I'll never find them on the internet. And only you can come to the show here and tell us all about them. If you've never phoned a radio show before, I reckon this is probably the easiest show in the world you could ever phone. Because I'm not going to argue with you. Either's Andy. We're just going to let you have your say. And we'll be back in a couple of moments. So you've got time to go and get a cup of tea, cup of coffee. Hey, it's the weekend. Maybe you're drinking something a little bit stronger. And of course, it's VE Day, or it was VE Day over here. Victory in Europe Day. So yes, if it wasn't for that, there's a good chance I would be Sprechen Sie Deutsch right now. But I'm not, so join us after the break. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Yes, indeed. First break already, man. That was flying in. And I'm going to ask you after the break, so you're warned. Right, I'll get your take on Skinwalker. Maybe you heard the show, maybe you didn't, but just your take in general. Yeah, weird place, man. It's almost sounding. It's like,
everyone has their own theory on that place, man, and it's pretty creepy. I mean, like, I kind of have a theory on it, but I mean, like, my theory is always.
Well, before we get to that, we'll do that on air. But I mean, yeah. Colorado, you're in Colorado, and it itself. I mean, you've got the airport. You've got a whole heap of stuff. You've told us about some of the woo going on there. I mean, whether it's Skinwalker Ranch, whether it's Colorado. I mean, the US, it's pretty much loaded with hotspots that would give us enough topics to speak about for a year.
I think it's because of the amount of bad things that happened to the natives of this land when, you know, the Spanish came here and, you know, conquested the land, and then all the pilgrims came through, and I mean, even Iron Maiden wrote a song about the shenanigans. You know,
plenty of shenanigans. Yes, indeed. And a big thank you to everyone out there in the chat. I'm going to go in on the back end right now while I remember, and I'll turn Brian up. I don't think he's fallen out with us. I think I just need to like turn him up a little bit, and he'll be cool.
You got to give him the whoop smack.
Yeah, I need to give him pimp hand. Sometimes only the pimp hand will work.
Show him your pimp hand is strong.
Ah, telling you, man, telling you. Right, and where are we? Alert box. Right, volume. Brian, where are you, man? Super chats. Right, where are we? Yeah, he's way down. He's way down. Yeah, he'll be all right now. I'll test him now. Hang on. Oh, I need to save it. Dang.
Cabe Smith 2020 support for my favorite YouTuber.
Okay, we'll try this one then, folks. We'll try this one. Let's see. No.
Lock on Smoke a Bong Freaky Friday all night long.
Right, I'm gonna have to play with that. Now it's really annoying me. Hang on. Enabled. No, it's just doing its own thing. But it's
Lock
okay.
On Smoke a Bong Freaky Friday all night long.
It's gonna be one of these days, Andy. That's what it is, man.
What kind of virtual mixer are you using?
I'm not using a virtual mixer. I've got a mixer, dude.
Oh, it's an actual physical.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh. Have you changed any of the games or anything like that?
Sorry? No. No, it's just been an update. An update on Streamlabs. It'll be something daft, man. I'll find it eventually. But it's almost that time. We'll go back to the network and we will get back into this. And yes, folks, my hair is getting to the stage where maybe in the next couple of days, I'm going to have to shave it off. It's just going to have to happen. It's ridiculous. It's if you could see me when I wake up in the morning, holy shimoly, it is bad news. I look like Einstein, but not Einstein. It's just horrid. It's bad, Andy. I'm telling you. Here we go. I'm going to bring it back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second part of today's Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com. I'm keeping my eye open. Hopefully, Scotty Lopez will be able to join us at some point. But I've got Andy. Spooky Andy is back. 2 weeks on the trot here on our Freaky Friday. And as I was saying to everyone during the break, you know, probably the only thing weirder and stranger than Freaky Friday this week is my hairdo. I don't know, this social distancing thing, man. Until you design an Edward Scissorhands, Andy, then I need to get back out to a barber, man.
They already had that, man, back in the 90s. It was called the Flowbee.
Would you trust
was
that
like
cutting your hair?
To a vacuum, dude.
No, not good. No.
It's bowl cuts.
Again, I think I'll just go with the. I'm just going to take it all off. I'm going to leave the beard though, so I'll look kind of wild, kind of weird.
Give it to Keith Flint. Shave the middle and then the side, so you got two mohawks.
Dude, legend. May he rest in peace, the big man.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a
Gone
good
far
dude.
too soon. Good memories, that music, dude. Good memories. But I was asking, or I was going to ask you on this side of the break about the show we done with Billy Joe, first of all, during the week. Skinwalker Ranch. Now, just that place in general, and if you heard the show, you know, a big shout out to Billy. She's tuning in right now. She put in a lot of time preparing for that, and I really, really appreciate it. Love it when we bring our own people onto the show, like yourself, Mannerus, and we'll talk about Oak Island too. But Skinwalker, dude, what do you make of that place?
Man, that place. I don't know if I sent you a message about it, but like, there's something. There's some type of dimensional slip going on there, man. There's for so many people to just like have the types of experiences they're having. I don't think it's any different than when you quote unquote lose your keys when you left them somewhere. I think it's the same kind of thing. But in that place, I swear to God, there has to be like 12 different planes of reality sitting on top of one another, and you just walk through different slivers of it, and things just happen. Or there might be, it's like one of these things where you're looking through like a kaleidoscope and you see everything, right? But when you're in, you know, your own personal body and you are witnessing what's going on, you might turn around to see something and then turn back and everything's different from even a second ago because you're looking literally into a different reality. And which would make a whole lot more sense if that's what's going on, if you put it on the you know, scales of, well, it's not that it's not happening. There's definitely something happening. No one can really explain it. So at this point in time, it doesn't really matter what us as people are saying it is, or witnessing it and saying it's something, or making a hypothesis about it. At this point in time, it's almost like anything goes, because there's no real answer to any of that. And it's more or less probably one of the craziest places that I think that, you know, mankind has really found or came across in a long time. It's probably why people are so interested in locking it down and studying it thoroughly, because it really is a hot spot. It's a hotbed of crazy energy for everyone that experiences it, it seems like.
I couldn't have said it better myself. A really weird place, man. Really weird. Where do you
Yeah.
start with it? The amount of stuff that goes on there, from the curse to all of the reports of all the various phenomena. I mean, what can you say? And like you say, it's one of these places on Earth. Now, somewhere I haven't checked into much myself, but I know I've heard other people talking about it. There's like an area in Alaska where you've had a lot of planes go down, loads of people go missing. It's almost like a 411 type situation, but they call it the Alaskan Triangle. I think I might
Yes.
need to dive. Have you ever heard about that one? That's a bit weird,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and here's the thing is that it's like a certain like I had read something about this like 10 years ago that it's like a certain exact mileage from point to point from where they recognize the Bermuda Triangle. So it's almost like it's on a ley line with the Bermuda Triangle. And if that's the case, there's probably one that's like in somewhere in like the middle of the ocean, and there's probably another one in the middle of Russia, and then there's probably another one somewhere in probably Stonehenge. You know what I mean? Like or near Stonehenge.
Yeah. Loch
I meant, or
Ness.
maybe it is Stonehenge. I don't know. I meant like
Hey, I mean, that whole Great Glen up where Loch Ness is, and you got Clava Cairns, Culloden Battlefield. There's a whole heap of places up there you could argue is another one of these hot spots. And I don't know what causes it. It's ley lines, or I mean, I talk about ley lines all the time, Andy. But what definitively is a ley line? I mean, really, I mean, is it where piezoelectricity goes? Because we've also got the masons that built all of the cathedrals in a straight line. I mean, how do you even define a ley line?
I meant like I think the only way you can is that it's like it's an energetic how would you say that? Like if you were to lay a rectangle down and remove the angle of the earth. So if you turn the earth into a bunch of triangles and they're connected through straight points to make a sphere, that's to me that's what ley lines are. They're a connection of straight lines, I guess. Does that make sense?
Like a crossing, a nexus point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's all, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in my head making it
No,
up.
hey, dude, how can I
It,
tell
to me,
you?
it makes sense when I'm like thinking it, but then when I say it, it doesn't make a whole
Please
lot of
just
sense.
trim your hair. Don't cut it all off. Thank you for everything.
Now that was a super chat. And I'm going to read it out because it said, "Please just trim your hair. Don't cut it all off. Thank you for everything." Will I be like Samson? Is that what's going to happen, Andy, when I cut my hair off? Am I going to lose my podcasting power?
Yeah, don't cut it off. Maybe it's like a good luck charm, dude. Look what happened when I cut my hair off. It didn't come back, dude.
That's what my son keeps telling me. My son keeps saying, "Dad, just hold on to it. One of these haircuts is going to be your last one." No way, dude. No.
Dude, it that's how it works, man. I had hair down to my butt when I was in high school. I was a rocker, dude, and now I got New Balance sneakers and Corvette and jorts. I'm just kidding. I don't have those things.
But you know, if we go back to Skinwalker, I mean, I find that series that's on History quite comical because it took one episode for like, not that he's a skeptic, he just comes from a world of government science and rockets, building rockets, stuff like that. He's not into the woo. Nothing wrong with that. So when he hears people talking about skinwalkers and cattle mutilations and people feeling all kind of funny and getting vertigo, he's rolling his eyes going, these people are utter whack jobs. But I tell you what, Andy, it took him maybe about a day to realise, hold on a minute. With the best of science that he knows, he can't explain what the heck is going on, from microwaves to all sorts of woo that I have to then ask you, why is it we're getting to see this, right? Because this was owned by Bigelow and the government were in there investigating. Are we getting is it been shown to us for a reason? Because every episode, boom, 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 boom. And maybe the best ever footage of a UFO that I've seen. HD 4K cameras with a History Channel, boom, right there, right out, and they've caught it on security tape. Am I just been a bit too suspicious, a bit...
I think you are. I think that I've been like, I would love to think that like disclosure as a whole is right around the corner. Is it? I don't think it is. But are they going to do it anyway and use it for something? Maybe. I can't say. I don't know. you know? But at the same time, it's like it sure as heck seems like either
Maybe we've
there's
moved
no
into that new world now.
leader.
Maybe
I don't
now that
know.
we've moved into this new normal, this new world, maybe they are going to slowly start bringing us up to speed with some of what they know, you know?
Maybe.
Some.
Might be some more misleaded stuff that, you know, it might be something totally in left field that, you know, they don't want to tell us about. So they're going to go with something that we all want to hear, you know?
Yeah, it's weird, but I definitely get a feeling that what we're being shown on History Channel when it comes to that show, Unidentified, Ancient Aliens, sort of, but more those two. It almost feels like controlled disclosure, and I can't put my finger on it. And I don't want to kind of
Right there.
yeah, I don't want to urinate all over it either, because I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but there's obviously an agenda, because they're only telling us because they've chosen to, and why have they chosen to now makes you wonder. Now, I don't know if you heard the one with Oak Island or not, but that's another weird place going on there. And I think this week, all the shows, oh, hang on, is that Scott? Have we got him? Hang on, I'll just check my phone here. Check my phone, Andy. Give me 2 seconds. I apologise, folks. We might have him. There we go. I'm going to add him in. Here we go. Back by popular demand. Mr. Lopez. Here he comes. There he is, Mr. Lopez.
Oh, God.
That good, Scott, yeah?
You need
Jeez.
to play John Cena music for when you're coming in the room.
What happened, Scott? Come on, what happened, man?
Just a giant cluster F. That's what happened. It was just a giant cluster F.
What did you try and fix in your
technically.
PC yesterday that went wrong? Did you try and do something to it?
Yeah.
See, Andy, I knew as soon as he told me, I thought, I won't say it to him now because he's too raw. I could tell he was raw. I was going to say, see, Scott, you need to stop playing about with it the day before the show, man.
Let's just say Mr. Lopez had Windows 10 on lockdown a little too much.
Ah.
I had to. Let's just say the camera and the microphone weren't being accessed.
Ah.
But you know,
but Uncle Bill fixed it. I told you he's got your back, man. Told you, dude. Told you. So, how you been, Scott? Have you managed to absorb all of the Oak Island woo that we got into the other night?
Kev,
Yeah,
come
that was
to
pretty
America
crazy.
and we can do a trip to the ranch so we don't have to go alone.
I'll read it out for you, Billy Joe. It says, Kev, come to America and we can do a trip to the ranch so we don't have to go alone. Oh, now that would be absolutely superb. I've heard Donald Trump, he's building some kind of wall, right? I don't think I'll be welcome there. Just saying. I don't think he'll ever be letting anyone back in again, but that's for another show altogether. That's just another hypothetical situation, obviously, Scott. But you're back. You fixed it, dude. I'm glad to see you. Andy is here again. We were talking Skinwalker. We were getting into the woo of that weird place, man.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I mean, I know about the Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, I know it's like a hotbed for UFO activity, and isn't there like cryptid activity out there? Isn't it just like?
I think you can name it, Scott, and it's there, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had a chance to check out the series yet. You know, the show. But I need to. But I mean, I've been hearing about this place for quite a long time, and I always thought it was crazy that dude Bigelow bought the place, you know, and he's like heavily involved in the military industrial complex, and you know, like, was it the Jet Propulsion Laboratory? I think he involved in that or something like that.
He's got his own Bigelow Aerospace. He got like part
Yeah,
of the
that big
22
old-
million from the ATIP. And most of what he found with his, what was it? New Discoveries in Science, I think, in NIDS. National Investigation, something anyway, but they basically classified what they found, Scott, and then that caused me and Billy Joe the other night, and then I've asked Andy tonight. Should we be suspicious that we're seeing so much being disclosed so quickly in this new TV show? Like, it's insane, Scott.
It's a lot like the whole like To the Stars Academy Pentagon stuff, you know. I don't. It makes me wonder. I mean, what's the angle here? They're not going to be like disclosing this stuff just because they want to, or you know, it's like there's obviously a reason they're doing it, and I just wonder why. Like, is it some kind of a little deception that they're pulling? Um, are they trying to take people's eye off one thing? You know, and they're like, oh look over here, disclosure, disclosure. You know, look, we're gonna be showing everybody that the aliens are real, the UFOs are coming. You know, and
They needed this. There's always a reason for the distraction. There's always going to be a reason for it. They have
yeah,
no need to actually tell us anything if they don't want to. The only thing that they get out of telling us anything, and this is not just the U.S. government, this is any government. It doesn't even matter if it's a government, even if it's your, a company you work
No,
for.
it's just your government. They're the bad ones.
Yeah,
I'm only joking, dude. I'm only joking, you man.
you know my opinion already. You might, and that's probably but I meant there's always going to be a need fulfilled in that certain field by telling us one thing and doing it another.
yeah. And the thing is that the thing is look. The government has spent all of these years calling anybody who talked about UFOs crazy kooks and all of this stuff, and they've done everything they could to hide everything from everybody. And then all of a sudden, just one year, they're going to come out and be like, oh yeah, look, hey man, UFOs, the Navy's spotting them, and we're doing this, and they're talking about it on mainstream news. CNN is running stories on it. You got Tucker Carlson on Fox talking about it. All of a sudden, it's all cool and it's all okay now. And yeah, it's like, oh, okay, well, why the 180 all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden is the government just so open to disclose everything and acknowledge all of this stuff now? Which that immediately like raises red flags with me. I'm like, yeah, something ain't right here.
There is another part to this, is that Dr. Stephen Greer, and I don't know what everyone's opinions on the guy is. I'll just give you mine, and that's that dude is full of brown, smelly stuff, and there's something about him that just. He shoots up red flags every time I hear him talk. He's telling big tall tales. It's no different than listening to David Wilcock. That dude, I'm not gonna go into why I don't like him. I'm just saying Dr. Stephen Greer goes out of his way to say, I'm just some country doctor. I don't know why anyone's listening to me. That to me is it's classic reverse psychology. It's, you should listen to me because I'm a country doctor and I have information and I shouldn't. That's what that says to me. And it also says, when he's saying something like that, to me, it says, I don't have any actual information. I'm going to tell you what I'm being told to tell you. Please listen to me. That's what it sounds like to me.
I like Richard Dolan. I think he's one of the more solid ones. But Greer, yeah, there's something about him, dude. I don't know what it is. he's not my cup of tea. There's something, I don't know. And then you
He's
watch
kinda
some of his documentaries, and I don't know. Hey, I don't know the guy personally, so I'm not gonna bash him. But he's not my cup of tea. Like you said with Wilcock, you know, the two of them, we could probably do a full show on the wrongs
Well,
and the rights of them. But
the thing is that you should always go with your gut. And if you get a vibe off of somebody, chances are your initial vibe is correct, you know. And so if you feel like somebody's feeding you a load of bull, well then chances are they probably are. You know.
Have you been catching Richard Dolan's live streams on YouTube? Really, really good, man. He goes over some of the older stories, the history. Sometimes, in fact, he had on Travis Taylor from Skinwalker's show. That's where I've kind of first heard about it, and then it was Billy Joe that reminded me about it. And yeah, he's when it comes to kind of trying to get to the truth, Richard Dolan, he seems pretty legitimate, pretty genuine. Now, has he got it wrong from time to time? Sure, but everyone does. You know, it's when you start
Well,
pushing
the thing is-
pushing that lie as your main kind of narrative and steering people down a real kind of false rabbit hole. That's when you get a problem on the scale of your blue chickens.
And
Yeah.
to me, you know, if somebody does occasionally get it wrong from time to time, that just shows that they're real. You know, like,
Thank you.
you know, you know, if I don't know, like if something is too good to be true, it usually is, right? And so, as long as you could tell that like a person as long as you could tell that like a person is genuine, and you know, then yeah, like I said, just go with those gut reactions.
Not quite
Hello
super
to
chat.
all you cool people. Let's get our woo on. It's time to smoke Mifia Gotum. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Yes,
Woo,
and
woo, woo.
yes, and for those that are hard of hearing, even like me, hello to all you cool people from Just Be Happy. Let's get our woo on. It's time to PPP. If you've got 'em, brown chicken, brown cow. Yes, indeed. Or is it blue chicken, blue cow tonight? I'm not. Was it blue chicken, mutilated cow? Since we're talking about the skinwalker, you know. You
We're
see?
at the right time. It's blue chicken, red heifer.
There you go, and Third Temple. There you go, and maybe we'll have some end times apocalyptic stuff after the break. Who knows? But I have got a couple of stories from Mysterious Universe that we can get into. I've got one on the Men in Black as well. Still waiting back to hear from Nick Redfern, Scotty. Still waiting back because Nick Redfern has got a new book out. Now his new book is all about Rendlesham Forest. Personally, one of my own favourite UFO incidents. It's over here in the UK back in 1980. And Nick Redfern has got a book out, and it's a really interesting theory. And that is what if I told you there was no UFO incident that happened in 1980 outside RAF Bentwaters. What if over the period of 3 days, some kind of mind control psyop took place in and around RAF Bentwaters? Now, it's not my story. It's not my theory. Nick Redfern's got a new
Hey.
book out on it, so I'm looking. For, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna have to read it. It's gonna be good.
That's a very interesting angle.
Mhm.
I'll say.
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of something that could happen though, because I mean, MK Ultra was a real thing.
All I know
know?
is that if Nick Redfern is writing a book about it or whatever, then there must be kind of some. This must go kind of deep, so that'll be very interesting.
Yes,
As long as they
indeed.
don't blame it on swamp gas.
No, he's not a swamp gas man. Yeah, Nick Redfern wouldn't go down that road. But I've read a kind of like blurb about the book. Does sound good. Does sound interesting. And I've asked Nick now a couple of times in the past couple of months Hopefully he'll get back to me. He's notorious. I remember it the first time. It was really hard to get a hold of the guy. But it's always worth the wait. And hopefully we'll get him back on sometime soon. Now we're going to be going to the break. 1 hour down. We'll rattle through some woo stories on the other side. And then we'll open up the phones. And Brian is going to whisper to us.
For the best radio host in the EU, no wait, you left. Sweet.
You must have meant to send that to some other show, Algo. Because it can't be any of us, Scott. Best host in the EU? I'll have you know that the UK isn't in the EU anymore. Proudly not in the EU. I'm only joking, Algo. You know I love you, brother. We'll be right back. There we go. Bet you Algo put that in there to trigger me, didn't you, Algo? I bet you. No, but if Nicola Sturgeon had her way, we would be in the EU. But that's another show altogether. And I can't trigger myself 1 hour into Saturday morning. That wouldn't be good, Scotty. Andy, not good.
No, I mean I've already triggered myself with my whole technology
fixed.
fiasco.
You got it fixed, man. That's
Yeah.
the main thing.
Yeah. I did.
Your brother have to unhook everything, hook it all back in.
Yeah, and then that didn't solve the problem, and then I realized, oh crap, maybe I did something, and I troubleshooted and figured it out. So
Good man.
ah,
So how is it where you are? Did you all going stir crazy yet?
well, where I am, the Kansas is starting to open back up. So,
Good man.
and I always practiced social distancing even before the coof. So it's not like anything was really different for me.
Same here, dude. I
to
mean, it's not like I was going out
Yeah.
walking a marathon every day, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, whatever, but hey,
Ah! Look at that. Look, it even said, I got too triggered. Algorithm had even said, oh no, wait, you left. Sweet. See, I got triggered at EU. I didn't even hear the full thing. Algo. There you go, Algo. Much love to you, Algo. Yes, so that's an interesting one on Rendlesham Forest, eh? Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what if we're talking about some military personnel there that may have
Hey,
been?
I've had one of them on the show. Larry Warren, I've had him on the show, dude. And again, that doesn't mean Larry Warren was lying to me. If he was,
Oh, it does-
if he was involved in a deception, a psyop, then heck,
Yeah, or what if, if there was some kind of mind control op, or maybe they were part of an experiment. Maybe they were given some kind of
I
hallucinogenic.
was going to say they were all on guard. They're on guard.
Yeah.
So you've got like easy to monitor what's going on with them. They're all in radio contact with you. You send somebody out to see what they're looking at on the out. I tell you, dude. Who knows?
I mean, I don't know. It's a very interesting angle. I got to say that, and it's cool that Nick Redfern is kind of looking at different
40 years on.
angles.
40 years on. It's our Roswell. It really is. Yep. 40 years on and still getting new theories. That's what's pretty cool about it. And Ben Emlyn Jones, I think, is on KBS next week. And Ben, he's like an expert on Rendlesham, so I'm going to be keen to get his take on it. I think he'll be like us. I think he'll be quite open-minded and really looking forward to hearing what Nick's put together before, attacking it or agreeing with it or disagreeing.
Or agreeing to disagree.
Exactly. Exactly.
I just I don't think anyone truly has all the answers. So I think any sort of kind of a plausible theory that's thrown out there be interesting to see.
But you must
Yeah.
binge Oak Island and Skinwalker, Scott. You need to take days away from the computer or in front of the computer and just binge and binge. And you'll be happy, man. You'll be glad you done it. I'm telling you. Now that either Andy changed when he was away there, or that was somebody completely different walked by. That was really freaky. Here we go. I'm going to bring back the network.
How dare you?
And we are back. Yes, I've got Scotty Lopez with me and Spooky Andy. And I thought Spooky Andy had actually changed into another person when he'd walked by the back of the camera there. That was bizarre. It was like a live Mandela effect. Yes, indeedy. So now we're down, boys, and I've got a story we can go to over on the Mysterious Universe. We'll get into some crazy and weird and wonderful woo. Why? Because it's Friday. So I've got one about the Men in Black we can get to. And of course, folks, after this segment, if the guys want, I'm sure they will, but we'll open up the phones. And we really want your woo. With the paranormal researchers on last night, so any ghost stories, shadow people, any weirdness has happened to you. Maybe you have had some dealings with aliens, abductions. This is the time to call into the show and speak about anything, Scotty.
My brother had another little experience.
Well, before we go anywhere, we have to hear this, right?
He heard what he thought sounded like a scream outside of his window, like a woman, like but it wasn't like he said it sounded kind of distant, but it sounded like someone screaming, you know. And I don't know, just another one of those weird things.
Cats fighting.
I don't know. Maybe.
Would that be close to where the person's seen the apparition at the back of the car?
Possibly.
Was it? Would that be round about that area?
Could be. I mean, if it sound kind of distant a little bit, you know.
I wouldn't.
Possible.
Well, I wouldn't imagine it would have sounded right close up, or he probably would have been really startled, right? So.
Yeah. It wasn't like right at his window, but it was enough to like where he heard it and was just like, what the heck was that, you know? And then.
What about your mum? Any weirdness with the mum? You seen anything else lately? No.
No. Just that little thing with my brother, you know. And of course, this is the same brother that sees the shadow people and all that stuff. So.
Well, last night's guest, that was a lot of their work involves these shadows. You know, even when they're getting ready to do investigations, they would notice shadows and things, and they talk about the shadow entities a lot. I quite liked it because they were saying, you know, it's when they do an investigation, there's a number of them, and if it's just like something out the corner of their eye, and it was just them that caught it, then they kind of disregard it. But it's if you get like multiple witnesses to the same kind of thing, then they'll kind of like look into it a bit more. But they'll do it the way we would do it. They look for natural sources that could be causing shadows and things like that. But there's the ones as well where you feel it, you know, as well as seeing it. It gives you that like the creepy feeling or the belly feeling.
And I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but my brother also sees like orbs and like I guess you could say light phenomena.
Auras.
Yeah, kind of like I don't know. I don't know. We can like sprites or something, kind of zipping around or whatever. And I mean, it's pretty frequent with him, I guess. Like I don't know. He's just like chill with it all. Like it doesn't freak him out. I mean, it happens so much around him that he just like,
dealing with it like his whole life. Like, has it been something he's experienced?
No, not his whole life. It's interesting because when he was a teenager, he got the meningitis shot, right? And then after he got the meningitis shot, he got meningitis.
Oh,
Shot. And this all started happening after that. And I personally think that whatever, because meningitis causes your brain to swell.
Yeah,
And
had it, dude. I
yeah,
actually had bacterial meningitis.
yeah. So what I personally think happened is that after that happened to him, I think it opened him up. I think it like opened a part of his brain, and like now he like has this connection to the other that other realm or whatever, and he's able to see this stuff. And I guess some people would say, well, it could be just like a form of brain damage and he's just seeing things or whatever. And I don't think so. I don't think it's that. I think it.
If I think back to this, dude, honestly, like I've experienced weird stuff like my whole life, but like after I had spinal meningitis and like was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, like bedridden, like I couldn't do anything. All right. Well, after that, the stuff that I experienced before seems like it was magnified. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, see what I'm saying. And so I personally think that like opened them up to something. It's kind of like when you hear about certain people who like bump their head and all of a sudden it like unlocks a part of their brain and they become like a genius in some certain like like all of a sudden they become like a mathematical genius, or they all of a sudden know how to play piano or speak another language or something, just whatever. I think that kind of thing can happen as well, but it makes you, or it's a part of your brain that is able to tap into like another dimension or frequency or something, and you're able to see something that normal people can't see.
Well, with certain types of brain damage, they've linked it to like other weird anomalies where people are able to. Oh,
Smiles for miles, good vibes for all tribes.
Smiles for miles, good vibes for all tribes. I like that. Thank you very much, One Polly.
so the whole thing I was trying to the brain damage aspect of triggering different like parts of your brain, it makes me think. So like when certain people get certain types of brain damage, they're able to speak different languages that they're like have no prior knowledge of. That to me says something about like they're accessing like either a different realm, or they're able to tap into, prior memories, or, from a past life. It could be, you never know. But then there's that whole other aspect of, like if you're having something like that happen, I meant like they say dementia is where, people are going crazy, but how do we know that the person that has dementia doesn't feel crazy at all? Maybe they view us as someone that like the whole world's gone crazy, so they're just like, and then they wear their underwear on the outside of the pants because they literally think that that's actually what you're supposed to be doing, and it's normal,
Yeah, the thing also with like the people who all of a sudden like learn a language that they've never had any, like they never studied it, or they don't have any knowledge of that language, but all of a sudden they know it. That to me makes me think about, is their brain accessing like the Akashic record? Like, is their brain accessing all of the information in the like all of the information in the universe? It's there, like the entire universe is information.
It's like that thing I read to you the other night, remember? Our invention's inevitable. And it was talking about the amount of times that two or more people than two came up with exactly the same thing yet at the same time. So I think what you're talking about there, the downloading of a language in a oneer, what other way can you explain that get into somebody's brain other than a kind of common database, some common information field, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know, in the case of my brother, I think maybe his brain is just accessing this spirit realm, or whatever you want to call it, this uh
Just allows
other
them to see a bit more in the light spectrum, dude.
little. And the thing is that, you know, I know it's not just him, because other people in the, you know, have had experiences around here. So obviously there's some kind of a, I would say a haunting or some kind of paranormal activity around this house now. Like I haven't really experienced anything. My mom has had a few experiences, but it's like nowhere near the stuff that my brother has experienced. So, you know, like I said, but maybe he's just accessing more of it, or he's more open to it. And he's able to see more of it. But I don't know. For all indications, though, is that the paranormal activity around here seems to be focused on a girl or something, a girl or a woman. And I, you know, so then, you know, if my brother heard like a scream, a woman scream, then I guess that would kind of point to that as well, you know. So I don't know, man.
You know, it's all stored energy, though. You know, I meant like if something bad happened to someone, and it doesn't matter at what point in time, if they left that bad energy behind with them, and you know moved on to whatever's next, you probably might experience it, you know, on the backhand of whatever's going on, just because that whatever happened there happened there. So it wouldn't just be you guys that would be experiencing, it'd be anyone that had enough sensitivity to the types of energetic transactions would probably feel those types of things also.
And my younger brother, his friend had a paranormal experience, and I've talked about it before, but I'll go ahead and talk about it again. He was backing out of our driveway. I mean, we have a really, really long driveway. It's a big rock driveway that goes up into our property because our house is set back away from the road, you know. But we have kind of like a little roundabout kind of thing where you can kind of back up or turn your car around so you can get facing the right way when you're heading out. Anyways, he was backing up and he looked in the rear view mirror and there was like a figure standing behind the vehicle, and he thought it was my brother, my other brother, but then like he looked in the rear view mirror again and it was like right up on his bumper, and he said it like had pretty much no face, but it had like 2 black dots where the eyes would be and like a dot where the mouth would be, and it had like long hair, and that was like in a bun, kind of like a warrior or something like that. You know how they kind of like warriors would like pull their hair back in kind of like a ponytail.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing that myself soon, man.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't like a hipster with a man bun, it was an actual entity.
Yeah. No hipster with a man bun. And it was just like standing, and it was like standing behind the vehicle, like, you know, like in a intimidating sort of stance. And he was already backing up, and he freaked out, you know, like, whoa. And as he was backing up, he basically backed through the entity. Like, it passed through the vehicle and
That's cool, dude.
disappeared. Yeah, he left and then he called my brother and he was just freaking out on the phone. He was like, "Man, your effing house is haunted, dude. I don't know what the F I just saw in your driveway, man." He was just like all freaked out, And
See, that goes to show then there's obviously something active there when you've got multiple people picking up on things, Not that it needed more credibility, but somebody freaking out when they've just left your house because of whatever they've seen. Yeah, that pretty much confirmed it for me, Not that you needed it confirming, Scott, 'cause your mum's had the thing where she she thought she'd seen somebody bending down at the unit kind of thing, and
yeah, she's had someone touch her arm, and she heard something go. She heard a girl's voice go, "Mom," and she's like,
Dude, haunted
yeah.
children are the most creepiest ever. That's like I can deal with full grown ghosts. I'm 100% sure, but when it comes to children's voices, I'm like, nah, dude, I'm out.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then my friend, quite a few years back, he came over with his then girlfriend at the time, and she's real open to this stuff. She's real open to spiritual activity and all of that stuff. And the first thing that she said when they came over, she was like, "Hey, there's a girl here." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "When we were pulling in the driveway, I saw a little girl by the tree. We have this giant tree in front of our house." And she's like, "I saw a little girl like peeking from behind the tree, and she was wearing like old, like pioneer clothing from like the
Oh, you see, that makes it even sinister, man. Dude, I don't know, man. There's something about little girl ghosts that just, I don't know.
General, the ghosts of children are the creepiest.
Yeah, give me like a creepy looking old hag or an old wizardy looking kind of thing, and I'll go toe to toe with it, but not some creepy little child. Oh no. It's like we were talking when we got off air last week. You were telling us more about the Shining Hotel, and I can't even think about that movie without my programming, right? Those two wee girls. I mean, that is like one of the scariest scenes. And I love my horror movies, guys. They can't make a good horror movie anymore. But The Shining, there's a couple of bits in that totally, they just kind of burned into my mind. And it's the creepy little girls. Nothing against little girls at home, by the way, if you've got little girls. Nothing against the living ones. It's the creepy, ghostly ones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about being emotionally scarred from, this, like, it's like a trauma-based mind control kind of thing that you deal with when you watch some of those horror movies.
Freddy Krueger, that was another one. Whoa.
I had a hard time going to sleep after seeing that.
Yeah, the one where the tongue comes down the phone and all that. Whoa.
The big long arm.
Oh, dude, I've got the goosebumps even thinking about them, man.
But I meant, like, they're dumb movies.
But what is it about us, Andy? What is it about a human? What is it in our psyche? That I take it you're like me. Scott's probably like us. We love a good horror. What is it that wants us to go and get the living brown stuff scared out of us? What's that all about?
It's an energy thing, Like, it makes you feel alive. You seek out the things that you don't want to experience on purpose, so that way, if something was to happen, it makes you feel better about it. But it doesn't feel better.
But it never would. Yeah, it never would. Nothing prepares you, man. That's a good way of looking at it. What about you, Scotty? Any movies from your childhood that stick out that kind of burnt themselves in there, man?
Oh, dude. Yeah, Stephen King's It, man. I mean, that's what
classic.
That's what triggered my phobia of clowns.
It triggered a generational fear of clowns, Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wasn't the movie for a young 5-year-old Mr. Lopez. Uh,
Poor Scott.
With those big shoes and his stupid face, always trying to squirt water in my face out of a flower.
you know, when you're hanging around with older cousins and they're watching scary movies and stuff, you sit and watch them too. You know, I mean, that's just how this is how it was, man. You know, so and look, man, I mean, I like horror films. You know, I'm a big horror movie fan. You know, and I you know I've seen the Freddy Kruegers, the Friday the 13th, all that stuff.
The
You
Omen.
know,
Oh, The Omen's another bad one, man.
and
Texas
all
Chainsaw
the
Massacre and stuff like that
That was more disturbing.
It was more disturbing. It was almost watching like an A&E
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
You know, doc.
Very close
you
to
know.
being snuff. Very, very close, I'll tell you. But we've got another super chat coming in here now. A question. Well, I'll have to read out the question again because it'll be whispered in our ear like one of these. Is it ASMR videos, Scott? Has Brian gone all ASMR on us? Yes, Scott.
yes.
As long
ASMR.
as he doesn't do mukbang
But
videos.
your mum likes that, right? She likes us. Is it your mum that likes that, Scott?
Yeah, she
Have any of you heard of Resurrection Mary? I grew up near there and it's real and creepy as crap. Anyways, puff puff pass. Good game,
Resurrection.
waving hand.
Yeah.
Resurrection Mary. Is this a place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, near Chicago. Okay, let me pull this up. Right. Resurrection Mary is a well-known Chicago area ghost story of the vanishing hitchhiker. Oh, thank you so much, Justa. Oh, this is going to be good. Of the vanishing hitchhiker type. A type of folklore that is known from many cultures, and the urban legend is based outside of Resurrection Cemetery in Justice, Illinois, a few miles southwest of Chicago. Now, this is where we also had that recent Mothman spate, maybe the last couple of years, and I thought it had gone away, but then Brent Thomas told me, well, no, it's still ongoing. But it says Resurrection Mary is considered to be Chicago's most famous ghost. So since the 1930s, several men driving northeast along Archer Avenue between the Willowbrook Ballroom and Resurrection Cemetery have reported picking up a young female hitchhiker. This young woman is dressed somewhat formally in a white party dress and is said to have long or light blonde hair and blue eyes. Get out of here. Now, last night, anyone that tuned into the show, you will remember that we had on, it was Steve and Jenny Hodge. Now, they were talking about when Steve was rehearsing in a band in New York, and they were rehearsing at a church, and he noticed a blonde, like a groupie, stood there listening to them. And when the song finished, he turned round to the rest of the band. He said, "Oh, who's that blonde thing over there?" Only nobody had seen the blonde thing, so they all thought he was mad. Until they came back in and they found a blonde hair when all of them had black hair. So now we're hearing about this blonde-haired hitchhiker. So it says, light blonde hair and blue eyes. There are other reports that she wears a thin shawl, dancing shoes, carries a small clutch purse, and possibly that she is very quiet. Now, when the driver nears the Resurrection Cemetery, the young woman asks to be let out, whereupon she disappears into the cemetery. And according to the Chicago Tribune, full-time ghost hunter Richard Crowe has collected 36 substantiated reports of Mary from the 1930s to the present. That's quite interesting, right? Pretty weird. Never heard of that one before.
No,
So-
I've never heard of that.
So it goes
one.
on to say that the story goes that Mary had spent the evening dancing with a boyfriend at the O. Henry Ballroom, and at some point they got into an argument and Mary stormed out. she left the ballroom and started walking up Archer Avenue. Now, she had not gotten very far when she was struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver who fled the scene, leaving Mary to pass away. And her parents found her and were grief-stricken at the sight of her body. And they buried her in Resurrection Cemetery, wearing a beautiful white dancing dress and matching dancing shoes. And the driver was never found. So the first sighting seems to be Jerry Palace, a Chicago Southsider, reported in 1939. He met a person who he came to believe was Resurrection Mary at the Liberty Grove and Hall on 47th and Mozart, and they danced the night away. And who knows what they got up to in the next 3 minutes, but we'll be back on the other side and we will find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be opening up the phones as well for your Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com. Oh, just a guy. Absolutely brilliant woo. Now let me get Scott's camera over here as well. Yes, I've never heard of this one, guys. A good shout. I like it. I like these kind of local ghost stories.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up, see if I can find any information on the albino woman here in Topeka.
Albino.
Yeah.
woman.
Oh, look
Yeah,
now, come on, Scott. There's no need to be like that. I feel like identifying as an albino today. I just need to go and bleach all my hair or something, you know? Get myself some bleachy looking skin going on.
Get those
So,
pink contacts.
Yes.
Nothing
So
against
the
albinos,
albino
but I tell you what, though, Scott, nothing against them. But if you just bumped into one randomly, scary looking dudes. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they're trying to achieve.
I don't think it's like, no, I don't think it's a look they're going for, but they're naturally scary looking people. I'm just saying. Hey, go figure. I'll be getting hate mail from all of our albino listeners right now. Not Albanian, albinos. I've got nothing against Albanians. I don't know any. Have you found it, Scott? Have you found her?
Yeah.
Has she got blonde hair?
thing
Has she got blonde hair? Has she had Jezebel?
No, she's actually like kind of horrific looking, I guess. There's like a couple different kind of I mean, all of the sightings are the same, but sort of the story behind her differs depending. So it's weird, but she's supposedly spotted around Rochester Cemetery here in town. People see her when they're driving and stuff. So, like, she's crossing the road, and I don't know.
Is her-
if you want to
is her
that art,
Mary?
is her name? I don't know.
Her name is whatever she wants it to be, Andy.
She's looking for Richard because she loves him.
Ah, boom, boom. Nice. Nice.
Nah.
I like that. Like that. Long time listeners will be thinking, clever. We like that.
That's my favorite clip of all time. I played that for my wife, and she's oh Jesus.
Yeah, I think I got rid of it. I think I got rid of it for.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think I did.
Are
yeah.
you serious, guys?
I pimped it out for Begley, man.
So that link I dropped right there, it has kind of a list of different hauntings here in Topeka.
Cool.
So
We'll get through we'll do the Resurrection Mary. I almost forgot her name there, man. Oh, dang. Hope you don't have to say that 3 times into a mirror. That could get a bit of a tongue twister. Resurrection Mary.
Hearing the Resurrection Mary story kind of made me think of the albino lady. It has a very kind of similar vibe to it. So
I'm not saying a word. I've offended enough people already today. Albinos, not Albanians. Right, I'm waiting for the network where we'll go back to the mothership in just a moment, folks. And then I need to get a coffee at some point. So hang on, here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second half of today's show, right here on TFRlive.com. And don't forget, Brent Thomas will be on the way. And he'll take your hand and he will gently guide you through the paranormal portal right here on TFR and on his YouTube channel as well. So don't miss that. I think this is the perfect way to warm up for Brent's show. It's like a 5-hour extravaganza, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna have to pull one of those
Next Friday the
5 hour-
13th, dude. Next Friday the 13th, we're on it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
just make
because
it
that was,
a Friday the 13th ritual, right?
yeah, I
That was
think
really
so.
good. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
I did too.
And we were
It
right.
was-
We had 5 hours worth of woo, and yet we still had things to talk about.
Yeah, we could have kept going, man. It was like that was crazy. Like the 5 hours, it just completely blew by, and like we were still just geared up, ready to get into more stuff. It was pretty.
Because
Pretty wild.
woo is the subject that just keeps on giving, and it rarely divides. And even when it does, it doesn't seem to be half as divisive as if we disagree on some of the other topics out there. And that's why I love it. And it's great just to open your mind and just kind of imagine, speculate, kind of work out what's going on in some of these weird and wonderful places. And whether we ever get any of the answers we're looking for, probably optimistic to think we will. But it doesn't put me off. It doesn't deter me one jot, because these conversations, you know, they always bring up something new. You know, we've been doing this a number of years now, Scotty boy, and we've gone to the same well, the same trough a number of times for our topics, but always either advance the conversation or maybe we'll come up with a different angle of looking at it. Either way, it's still the topic that keeps giving.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is I think that's one of the cool things that we bring to the table is that we always kind of look at things from a different angle. You know, instead of just going with the kind of the yeah, just the whatever the sort of consensus is, you know, the woo consensus will come out of left field with some even more bizarre woo throw in there.
Yeah, just when you think you've heard it all, you ain't heard nothing yet. So we're gonna get to Resurrection Mary, and then Scott has got an albino ghost from Kansas. Is it in Kansas or is it over the state line? Because I know, like, yous are a bit kind of torn between two states there, kind of in your capital, right?
Well, I mean, Kansas City's not the capital. Topeka is,
but
yeah, but
is this a sore point? Is this a sore point, dude? Have I brought up some kind of like deep rooted thing?
Yes. There's a little bit of bad blood between Kansas and Missouri.
I'm on your side. I don't know what happened, but I'm on your side. Right?
Okay.
Scots and Mexicans, we stick together, dude. I'm telling you, man. So a bar fight and you got Scott and a Mexican on your side, you're winning. You're walking out of there laughing.
No. Andy might know about that. I mean, I know he's in Colorado, but Kansans and Missourians don't like each other too much.
No, not at all.
Dang, who knew? But anyway, right before we get into some heated dispute about the state lines in Missouri and Kansas, let us go back to this Resurrection Mary and blonde-haired ghost. This will have people thinking of, like we were talking last night, the Jezebel type entity. Could just be some residual energy from what sounds like a tragic event that did happen. And I do think that traumatic, kind of untimely ends, for whatever reason, they leave an imprint. Maybe they stand out more in that Akashic field that Scott was talking about tapping into earlier on, because that contains the past, the present, and the future. So any residual energy, could it be coming from that? Is that how it's stored? Does it stand out more because of the emotional value that peaked when that happened? I don't know. But it says in 1973, Resurrection Mary was said to have shown up at Harlow's nightclub on Cicero, Cicero Avenue in Chicago's southwest side. Now, the same year, a cab driver came into Chet's Melody Lounge across the street from Resurrection Cemetery to inquire about a young lady who had left without paying her fare. Now, there were said to also be sightings in 1976. A big shout out to all you 76ers out there. Great year. Yes, 1978, 1980, and 1989. Now, if any of you out there were born in 1989, you lucky devils, you're far younger than I am. But I digress. So it says, which involved cars striking or nearly striking Mary outside the cemetery. So Mary disappears, however, by the time the motorist exits the car. Now, guys, that does sound like then almost a replay of the final moments or something, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying, I'm sure none of us here are saying that poor soul is literally reliving that. I think it's more a residual energy, you know? I'd like to think the energy of that person's moved on.
Yeah.
Like an energetic imprint, or like a,
Like when you defrag a hard drive, or when you like delete a file, you know, it's never deleted.
yeah, it's just like a ghost file.
Yeah.
Literally, no pun intended.
It
But
goes
yeah,
to the
I mean,
machine, right?
yeah,
Ghost
yeah.
Well, now we're getting into it. Now we're figuring it all out now. Like I said earlier on, and Scott, if you haven't caught it yet, Musk was back on Joe Rogan yesterday. And he literally says, we are a brain in a jar. Our jar's a skull, but it's still just a brain in a jar. So,
Don't let Kenneth Webb hear that, because
No.
hadn't Webb been saying that ever since the beginning?
ever since I've known him.
Yeah, he's always like, man, we're just a brain in a jar. What if we're just a brain in a jar, man?
Just no brain. Formaldehyde. So I actually got his accent pretty good there, Scott. I thought I'd done that one not bad, man. Dang, dude. So it says
Getting
she
a little
also...
bit of that Kentucky.
Is that what it is? See, I've got no idea. So it says she also reportedly burned her handprints into the wrought iron fence around the cemetery in August 1976, although officials at the cemetery have stated that a truck had damaged the fence and there's no evidence of a ghost. Oh, please don't let trucks get in the way of a good story. And in January the 31st, 1979, article in the Suburban Trib, columnist Bill Geist detailed the story of a cab driver, Ralph, who picked up a young woman, a looker, a blonde. She was enough to be my daughter, 21 tops, near a small shopping centre on Archer Avenue. And it goes on to quote him, says a couple of miles up Archer there. She jumped in with a start, like a horse, and said, here, here. I hit the brakes and I looked around and didn't see no kind of house. Where? I said. Then she sticks out her arms and points across the road to my left and says, there. And that's when it happened. I looked to my left, like this, at this little shack, and when I turned, she was gone. Vanished. The car door never opened. May the good Lord strike me dead. It never opened. And Geist described Ralph as not an idiot or a maniac, but rather, in Ralph's own words, a typical 52-year-old working guy, a veteran father, Little League baseball coach, churchgoer, the whole shot. Geist goes on to say, the simple explanation, Ralph, is that you picked up Chicago area's preeminent ghost, Resurrection Mary. And it says some researchers have attempted to link resurrect. On you go. Who's that?
I was just making it evil laugh.
Ah, see, I spoiled it. I didn't know what was happening, dude. I thought Resurrection Mary was coming through the ghost box there. So some researchers started to dribble some brown stuff down my denims, I'm telling you. Some researchers have attempted to link Mary to one of the many thousands of burials in Resurrection Cemetery. And a particular focus of these efforts has been Mary Bregovi, who died in 1934, although her death came in an automobile accident in the downtown Chicago Loop. And Chicago author Ursula Bielski in 1999 documented a possible connection to Anna Marija or Marija Norkus, who died in 1927 in an auto accident while on her way home from the O. Henry Ballroom, and a theory has gained popularity in recent years. So that was pretty interesting, eh? And that's Chicago.
Yeah, and I think every city kind of has their own. I think there's probably hauntings anywhere where any sort of trauma could happen, right? And so every city is going to have its own sort of ghost stories and legends and locations where this stuff where you have this activity. And so yeah, very, very interesting. So yeah, I've got some stories from here in Topeka pulled up, some local haunting stuff. And I know I had mentioned before that the Capitol building here is supposed to be haunted, and so there's been activity there. But yeah, I'll get into this. This is on unexplainable.net. It says every city has a story to tell, and the capital of Kansas, Topeka, is just itching with scary tales. In this article, you will encounter stories that deal with haunted places and eerie legends, dealing with the Capitol building, Harrison Church, as well as one of the oldest schools throughout the city. As first, we'll explore the city of Topeka, where you will find the Capitol building. As legend has it, a woman jumped off the staircase and died as a result. The staircase leads all the way up to the top of the dome, but when you reach the basement area, the sound of unexplainable footsteps and crying can be heard. At the Gardner House, a poltergeist is said to haunt the premises. So yeah, I mean that's the legend of the Capitol building, where that's what I've always heard, and that's what people say, is that there's activity down in the basement of the Capitol, which is pretty interesting. You don't really hear about like Capitol buildings of a state being haunted that much, so kind of a unique thing.
Yeah,
All right.
I've heard of that before.
Oh, you never heard that before? Yeah. Now we shall get to the albino lady. It says, spotted on numerous occasions, a ghost named the albino lady is said to wander about the cemetery. At the Dorothy Thomas School of Dance, odd events are known to happen at this location. The studio can be found within the basement area of a house. This has been true since the early 1940s. In 1988, Dorothy died, and the weird occurrences started to rumble. Lights began to turn on and off on their own. Sometimes the sound of a dozen tapping feet can be heard. As early as 3 a.m, a piano that is believed to be broken will sometimes play various tunes in the middle of the night. Music boxes and the stereo will sound off, and the oddest times and footsteps can be heard in the attic, and whispers can also be heard. Now, it was kind of written weird. So that School of Dance, yeah, it's located in the bottom, like in the basement of this house, and supposedly, like, the albino lady likes to haunt that area. There's a couple of differing like origins of the albino lady. So one of them is that she was accused of being a witch back in the 1800s and like burned and buried alive. The second one is that is that she was a person that lived like much more recently, and that she died in the 1960s. And that she was a really, really really hateful kind of woman. Let's put it that way. And like after her death, she likes to like torment people or mess with them, you know. So I mean, whichever version of the story, I don't know, but obviously there's like activity. That's the thing, and it all happens around like Rochester Cemetery, and people can see her crossing the road, and she has a very like, well, she's albino, obviously, like an albino woman. And and that's the other thing with the original story. It's like I said, there's two stories, but the original story is that she was because she was albino, they thought she was a witch, you know, and that's why
Well, she was different, right?
yeah, because she was different. And so like I said, they burned her alive, and then they buried her. Like they buried her alive. So I don't know if that's the original thing that happened, or if it's this more recent thing. But either way, yeah. So continuing on here, it says the Harrison Church is considered to be one of the most haunted spots throughout Kansas. It has been abandoned since it was believed to become possessed by the devil. Screams have been heard coming from this location, as well as the sound of a crying girl. Many say that if you possess nerves of steel, that you must possess nerves of steel in order to enter this abandoned spot.
Ooh.
Update. Unexplained.net was recently emailed by one of the owners of the Harrison Church. The church is not abandoned, and it is indeed confirmed haunted. And then here's what the email says. It says, I thought you may want an update, or that you may want to update your information on the Harrison Church at Southwest 16th and Harrison. It is not abandoned, and it hasn't been for about 4.5 years now. As as one of the owners, I can confirm this. One other thing I can also confirm is that the rumors of it being haunted are not rumors at all. The activity there is real and pretty consistent. As I could not be there on location on a regular basis, I hired caretakers to care for and watch over the building. Maybe I should have told them about the church's reputation before they signed on and moved in. But I did not. I decided not to put things in their head that may have otherwise not been there. Well, it only took about 2 weeks before I started getting calls asking me for information on the church and if there was anything they should know due to some strange things happening in the chapel. I dispersed some info in small quantities, again, not wanting to make a mountain out of a molehill. However, the mountain showed its face all on its own. And one of the caretakers, for lack of a better explanation, was temporarily possessed while someone that claimed to be a former preacher from the 50s sent over a message regarding a double murder that took place in the boiler room and upper loft of the church. Oops, I guess I should have been a little more forthcoming with my information. Whoa, so wait, hold on.
What? Are you serious?
Are you serious?
Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? We got
So one of the caretakers was temporarily possessed by someone that claimed to be a former preacher from the 50s that was sending a message regarding a double murder that took place. Whoa. Now look, I haven't really heard much about this whole Harrison Church thing, to be honest. And I live here, so I don't really know much about the Harrison Church stuff. I'm gonna have to look look into this.
That's some wild woo, dude.
That is some wild woo. So their little email here continues on. It says, luckily for me and my business partner, the caretakers have not as of yet been spooked away. In fact, they are intrigued, and while investigating and trying to verify the information they were given that night, they have found a way to live among the regulars that pass back and forth through the chapel on a daily basis. Yes, it's hard to believe for me also, but what scares some makes others curious. Me, I'm happy in my own home, far, far away from the church. Wow, man, interesting. And then it says the Topeka High, the Topeka High is one of the oldest learning institutions that you will encounter throughout the city. Yeah, that school is old. Topeka High is an old school, man. Yeah. It says tunnels can be found underneath the school that are said to lead to a hidden graveyard. Yeah. Now, I've heard about Topeka High being haunted.
But wait. Whoa. Hang on. Right. Tunnels under schools into graveyards. What? I mean, are these like... I'm not expecting you have a blueprint or anything, Scott, right? But are we talking about like ancient like tunnels that were there before the school went up, or are they like what's going on, dude?
Like some catacombs, the high school.
Is there some like shape shifting stuff going on there? Is like Teen Wolf set there or something, man?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I went to Highland Park, so I don't know.
Good man.
I don't know what's going on up at Topeka High, but
I don't think you'd have been here to do this show if you'd gone to the crypt, dude. You know? Step out of line in that school and you get sent down to the chambers. Never heard of again, man. Oh, dodginess. Dodgy, Scott.
Yeah. It says some pictures have been taken of the odd events that have occurred at the site. Ghosts have been spotted on the premises. Some believe that if you are alone, you may be able to participate in conversations between ghosts. Teachers and students who are walking in the hallways and conducting business in the classrooms when no one was around have encountered many, many strange things.
Dang, dude.
It says the Kansas Department of Health and Environment is said to be haunted by two different ghosts who are known as George and Sam. It is said that they both died a cruel fate, and they will continue to seek revenge until they are satisfied, which may never come. The Topeka Country Club is a site where numerous apparitions have been sighted. Staff members and security guards try to avoid going in the upstairs area when no one is around. Odd events such as lights that turn on their own, as well as the playing of loud music, has been known to occur. So yeah, I mean that's some of the stuff going on here in Topeka.
Well,
I didn't know about this whole
tunnel gig.
I've heard about the tunnels under Topeka High. I don't know if it's true or not.
The only other place I know that's got tunnels like that would be Boleskine House. Now, Boleskine House had come out not long ago and said, get ready. We have got like some major announcement to make. When we were doing the cleanup, we found some stuff, right? And I put that out on a show before, and I've been kind of going back and forth, having a look, seeing what's happening. They haven't made any announcement on anything they've found, but their operation is expanding. And it will now include the tunnels that go from Boleskine House down into the graveyard, because they've now, the Boleskine House charity, what name, buys the coach house and the remaining estate lands. Now, if you want to see a freaky, scary set of stables or farmhouses, check this out. I mean, that's something clean out of some horror movie, right?
Yeah, that's
Some Saw or something going on in there, man.
if somebody's trying to lure you into that place, don't go.
Well, this
Just
is
saying.
this is part of Crowley's old estate, and it's the lawyers and surveyors, I think they are, from London. They've bought it up and they're doing it up and they're opening a school, and it's going to be a new agey Thelema Crowley type retreat where you can go and get your freak on. Hey, have at it if that's your thing, not my gig. But it says a charity working to rebuild a fire-ravaged country mansion. I've never heard it been called that very often. Beside Loch Ness, has bought the old estate's last remaining land and buildings. When you come back after the break, I'll explain to you why that's important. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back 1 hour to go on Freaky Friday, and oh, is it getting freaky? Don't go anywhere. Now, I have remembered we're going to get the phones on. Jules, as well, has given me a story from where she is. She dropped it in Discord. We'll come back to Boleskine in a moment, but I'll get back to that story. But they've not actually ever declared what they found, and it was back on... Let me find this here now. I think it was back at like the end of March. It's in the first edition of their actual. I'll bring this over here. They've got their own magazine out now, guys. Yeah. There you go. Boleskine. Yeah. So it says, we are very happy to announce the first edition, this was back in December, of the Boleskine House Journal has now begun shipping to all the friends of Boleskine. In full colour, you get Eric Wilson Hill, an obituary by William Breeze. The Boleskine House Foundation's mission and vision. Understanding Boleskine's structural development by trustee Mark Lidster. A short story of Boleskine. Information about our award-winning architects. Okay, so they're architects then. And building the Boleskine House Library. Well, that'd be an interesting collection of books, right? But they've never come out and said what it was that they found in the ashes when they were cleaning it all up. And when I say they cleaned it up, they really done a job cleaning this place up, because it was in bad order. If I can find it. There it is, I'll pull this over here. Wait a minute.
Hey, you know what off topic, but we haven't heard a single Wookiee tonight.
Scott's soundboard's going to be kind of guffy because he had problems. That's why I've been playing Greta.
The Wookiee's taking a rest tonight.
Here we go. The clearance of the famous oratory room is now complete. Look at the difference. Keep watching our social media platforms this week as we announce some of the discoveries found in the rubble, right? And that was April the 12th. And if you just go to their home, they've got none of what they found.
They just haven't announced it yet?
Yeah, the only announcement they've made is that story that we're about to go into. There we go. Important news on Thursday this week. We are going to have an important announcement. And there's the property there. Get a good look at it. And you can see Loch Ness, obviously. But just below those trees, that's where the graveyard is. Just down there. And there's tunnels that go right underneath, right down to the bottom. And then there's a big kind of outhouse down the bottom that me and my brother stupidly crawled into. And it's still used to this day for people that are into that stuff, because you know what people are like nowadays? Graffiti, they date it, they mention it, as they call it over here. And yeah, they've got all like the Thelema signs, and they're all into the Aleister Crowley Wookiee stuff. But I was always interested to know what they'd found in the kind of ashes, you know? What kind of weird trinkets and goblets and gobbledygooks had they turned up? Trapdoors, maybe.
Nessie's paw.
An amulet. Yeah, an amulet with Nessie's teeth in it or something, man. Something like that. There you go, see. Not that we're like wildly speculating or over egging it or anything. Here we go, I'll bring it back. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final hour of today's Freaky Friday. I haven't forgotten. We are going to open up the phones. We've got maybe one and a bit stories to get through, and then we'll open up the phones. But I was getting into Boleskine House again, the former home of Aleister Crowley. Now the Boleskine Foundation have it. They're restoring it. They're going to make it into a fun spiritual retreat where you can have your children taking part in Thelema activities and, you know, all the good stuff that Crowley taught. Hey, have at it if that's your thing.
It's good family fun.
Grab your chicken foot and go for it. That's what you're into? Hey, Scotty, who am I to knock somebody's idea of what to be into, dude?
No, hey, you know, in this age of, you know, everyone kind of having to, you know, spend a little more time with the family. You know, there's nothing like a good little dark occultic dilemma to kind of
This is
bond
probably
with
one of
family.
the more normal pastimes that we've actually described on recent shows. I mean, I'm thinking of the kind of the Lunicorn madness that we went into on one show where, yeah, we won't go there again today. But long story short, right, they have bought up the entire property now. There was like a number of farmhouses and people I know, that's all I'm going to say. And I haven't been up north yet, but there's a story about these extra properties on Boleskine. And the next time I go home, whenever that may be, or whenever I get to speak to somebody, I may have a story about one of the other properties on there, because somebody was, let's just say there's stories to be told. I can't really go too far into it for obvious reasons, but leave it with me. Hopefully this time next week I'll have more to tell you about that. Now, we had another story as well before we open up the phones, and it was...
Oh, did King Sweet have a question
well,
for me?
yeah, he just posted that. I just actually searched that in the actual Google, what I put in there. So there you go. It's something about a cult or something, Scott.
A cult just north of Manhattan, Kansas. Something like the Almas or Alamo? No, I haven't heard of a cult north of Manhattan, but it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, to tell you the truth. Got a lot of strange individuals in Kansas. That's just how we roll, I guess. So yeah, no, I've never heard of that, but I'll look into it.
Wow. Wow, just because I had a laugh earlier on about the EU, the last two websites I've gone to for Jules' story have hit me with, hey, because you're in the EU, you ain't getting to our website. I'm not in the EU anymore. Hang on now, I'll find it. I'll get, look, three.
What?
That's 3 different links. That is, no, that 2 are the same, I'll give it that.
VPN on, dude.
Yeah, hang on. There we go. It'll be in here, maybe. I'll find it. What's the name of it again? Where was it? Jefferson Hotel. I'm scrolling down, I'm looking for it. Let's see. It's gonna be the last one, isn't it?
Probably. Who knows?
Either that or I've gone past it already. Oh! No. Coronado? Thought that was Colorado. Right, hang on. Well, that is Colorado. That's the one you were telling us about last weekend, you want it? Stanley
Which one?
Hotel.
Lee Hotel, yeah.
Right, that hotel wasn't in the list of ones, so I'm just gonna... Jefferson Hotel haunting. Probably gonna kick me out again. Here we go, here we go. I think I've got it now, folks. I think. There we go. So then, let's see. It says here, is the Jefferson Hotel really haunted? Before I even visited Jefferson, I heard strange reports about what some called the most haunted town in Texas. Many of the ghost stories I heard, however, originate at one of the town's oldest structures, the Jefferson Hotel. Built in 1851, the hotel was originally a cotton warehouse back in the time when steamboats voyaged up the Big Cypress River, travelling all the way from New Orleans. And walking through the hotel today, it's easy to understand why some folks may claim to see apparitions roaming at night, because it appears that the place hasn't changed much over the years. It didn't take much imagination to picture Southern belles sashaying down the antique appointed hallways, wearing hoop skirts and fluttering fans to stay cool. But some folks go a step further and claim they really have had encounters with the supernatural here. And Jefferson's own tourism site, visit jeffersontexas.com, reports visitors frequently, quote, experience sudden cold chills, odours, with no discernible origin, phantom footsteps or voices, and strange apparitions. Room 19 is particularly shrouded in lore, which can be neither proved nor disproved, because records were destroyed in a fire, according to ghostvillage.com. Now, legend has it that a young lady of the night was murdered there, killed in the bathtub, dying days after the fatal wounds were inflicted. And ForgottenUSA.com reports that maids claim to hear voices coming from within room 19 when it's unoccupied, while some occupants get the uneasy feeling that they're being watched. I think when you get that feeling, you know, something has to give you that feeling, right? It's a pretty unique feeling, Andy, isn't it? When you can sense somebody.
Yes.
It would be hard to misinterpret something as that, eh?
Yeah, there's a feeling associated with that you get when someone or something in this case is staring at you,
Yeah.
or paying an actual amount of attention to you. You feel like intentional attention from something, and it's the same sense you get when you look back at someone that's been staring at you and you catch them being weird.
Yeah.
Like
You think that's something to do with our magnetic fields that we're giving off and things we might not be aware of, maybe, you know?
I don't think that's what it's probably more or less probably something to do with our untapped, like, extrasensory stuff that we have, you know, like ESP, or, you know.
And if we're all connected,
Yeah,
then subconsciously it would know, right?
yeah, it might just be something that you don't realize that, you know, you're part of, as far as like having those feelings, like you can tell someone's watching you.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's a byproduct of something we can't quite explain. Yeah, pretty cool though. Pretty good. Woo.
Exercise those sensory, you know, powers, but over time not needing them because, you know, we're in an environment where things aren't hunting us
Because
now.
we're domesticated now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that one, Scott? When you pick up on that, when you feel it, what do you make of that, dude?
Like whenever you pick up on,
You can tell somebody's giving you the evil eye, the stink eye, man. Or maybe you might just be in a room and you can feel like, oh, somebody's walked in, but there might nobody there.
I just think that goes to, you know, what I was saying earlier about being opened up to, you know, feeling something from another kind of realm or something that, you know, maybe you're picking up a frequency or something that most people can't pick up on, you know, and you're just more open and sensitive to that, you know. You know, it makes me think of like was it like spiritual mediums or people that they bring in that, you know, most people might not experience something in a house, but you bring a medium or something in there and they're like, whoa, 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 I can feel everything going on in this place. You know what I mean?
You want a good laugh, guys? You want a good laugh? That wasn't even the right hotel that I was talking about. It's another Jefferson hotel. But that makes it funny. That's the way we kind of roll on here, man.
There's something that I think that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and I think it's that everyone can kind of tap into some of that underlying energy as far as from person to person. And it's something that literally everyone has experienced at some point in time or another. And that's when someone that's just like a real negative person walks in the room, literally suck all the positivity out of the ether. Like,
no doubt, dude. Yeah. I mean, everybody has that ability at some level, right? I mean, like whenever you first meet somebody and you get like bad vibes coming off of them, that's what that ability is, you know.
Yep.
When you're like, you just know instinctively that this person's up to no good, or that they have like, you know, nefarious sort of intent. And you know, even though you don't know the person, or you just came across them, you just know, you just have that thing. And like you said, or the person that comes in the room and just kind of brings everyone down, sucks the vibe out of the room, and you're like, oh, you know. Or the complete opposite, you know, there are people that can walk into a room and cheer everybody up, you know. They have that ability to
work the crowd, man.
Work the crowd, and they're like, oh, hey, you know, this dude, you know, yeah, you know, you know, you get good vibes that come off of people, you know, or like, man, I know that this guy's a cool dude, you know. And you know, everybody's got that instinctual thing, you know, right? I mean, we're all antennas. We're all receiving and putting out, you know, our vibe, our frequency. And so, yeah, we all have that to a certain extent. Some people just have it more than others, and I think a lot of people tend to unfortunately ignore that as well, and it gets them in trouble. You know, it's like I said earlier, you know, when you have that gut instinct, when you have that gut feeling about something, you should go with it. And a lot of people tend to ignore their gut instinct, and then that ends up
go with the gut. Go with the gut.
Yeah, definitely go with the gut, man.
I look back to when I was younger, I could have kept myself out of so many bad situations if I had just paid attention to it. Instead of thinking, nah, this time it'll be okay. I'll be all right. I should have listened to that little feeling, that little bit of intuition that was saying, oh, younger Kev, wise up. But no, we come to learn to listen to it. But I tell you what, when you do start listening to your gut feelings, your instincts, whatever you call it, it does it. I'm not saying you're always right at that point, but it certainly increases your BS detector, right?
Exactly. And it's also, you know, it became sort of the kind of a cliche poppy kind of thing, you know, that you see in like cartoons and stuff like that, where you have the devil sitting on one shoulder and you have the angel sitting on your other shoulder, whispering in your ear, telling you, hey, you know. And you have the angel saying, you know, don't do that, you're gonna make a big mistake. And then you have the devil on the other shoulder going, oh, it's okay, hey, it'll be fine, you know. And that's that intuition, you know. That's that listening to your gut, or listening to, you know, taking that advice of, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this is gonna cause me a little bit of problem later on. But then some people are like, nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll be all right. And nope.
Exactly.
I know. If I have my dogs with me, and I meet someone new, if they don't like that person, like I know not to bother with that type. Like, I don't know what it is about animals, but they can sense crappy intent on people. Like they can smell it on them, man, and like they don't go for it at all. They're like, the second that a dog can pick up on someone's ill will and intentions, they're not having it, dude. Like at all.
Man, King Sweet kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, and I think maybe on another Freaky Friday we're gonna have to get into like cults and stuff because
Nice.
I'm reading a Reddit thread right here about some possible cult activity in Kansas, and it's kind of like,
Dang. Need to dig
Yeah.
into that, dude. Need to dig into that. So I've got one quick story then, right? I'd been saving it for Freaky. I was going to bring it up on a stream during the week, but I don't know. Just been one of these weeks. It's been I don't know, man. But hopefully Freaky Friday. We've got our mojo back now. And how about some Men in Black on the Friday? And then we'll open up the phones. So, Scott, you know who we're going to... It's Nick Redfern. Men in Black, are they biological robots? So, initial thoughts, guys. Andy, you first. Just right off the bat. No big deep answer, but could they be biological robots?
Could be. As long as they drove Lincoln, then I'm on board.
We'll get into that. I know this could trigger you if there's no Lincoln in here. But, Scott, your thoughts?
biological robots. Well, they have a hard time acting human, right? They don't seem to know how to sort of interact socially very well, or they don't know how to do certain things. Like I think one of the examples was a woman offered him a bowl of Jello, and they just kind of like looked at it like they didn't know what to do with it, and then they just kind of like slurped it like a drink or something. Like they had no idea, you know. So it's like weird, quirky things like that. They don't kind of understand certain basic human interaction.
Yeah.
That hey, that kind of
They look the part, but they're just not
part.
of this place, man. The weirdest one I heard was when they turned up to record somebody's witness testimony, UFO, I think it was, and they got out the car and they got into the house, and there was a few people around the family house because they just had a baby, and they seemed totally weirded out by this baby to begin with. But then when it came to recording the interview, like they had all the equipment, but neither of them had any clue how to use it. And this really stood out in the people's minds. They were like, well, hang on, you've come to record the interview and yet you don't know how to use the equipment. And they helped them set it up. And this was them telling John Keel, the guy that put together the Mothman prophecies and catalogued all of these weird interactions with what we would call the Men in Black. And it's ever since reading then, I mean, that's what's really taken the Men in Black to a whole new level of woo. Because there's just something you can't quite put your finger on. There's no two stories exactly the same, but there is a common thread. I don't know. Could they be biological robots? Possibly. So it says in here, and before we get going, Rogan and Musk, they talk about how possibly that could be us in the future. You know, if you look at how we went from hairy ape to where we are now, you know, we shed the skin, our brains get a bit bigger. You go forward in our million years, bajillion years, do our brains keep getting bigger when we start to connect to the AI? Do we stop communicating vocally? Do we go telepathic because we're all networked together? And then over time, how does that affect the human form? Interesting thought. But it says here, in this excellent catalogue, MIB Encounters, Gareth Medway includes a story that suggests that the Men in Black might be nothing less than biological robots. Now, before we get to the matter of the MIB being something far removed from the human race, let's take a look at biological robots in today's world of science. Now, on January the 13th this year, the UK's Guardian newspaper ran an article titled Scientists use stem cells from frogs to build first living robots. Now, in part, the article stated, researchers from the US have created the first living machines by assembling cells from African clawed frogs into tiny robots that move around under their own steam. Now, one of the most successful creations has two stumpy legs that propel it along on its chest, and another has a hole in the middle that researchers turned into a pouch so it could shimmy around with miniature payloads. But these are entirely new life forms. They have never before existed on Earth, said Michael Levin, the director of Allen Discovery Center at Tufts University in Medford, Massachusetts. And they are living, programmable organisms. So do Men in Black fall into the category of those programmable organisms? Let's have a look at what we know about the MIB. We'll begin with that aforementioned story that Gareth Medway highlights. It reads as follows. The Christensen family in Wildwood, New Jersey, who had seen a UFO on the 22nd of November 1966, were interviewed by, quote, the strangest looking man I've ever seen, wearing a thin black coat, who introduced himself as Tiny from the Missing Heirs Bureau. Now, he spoke in his high, tinny voice, in clipped words and phrases like a computer, quote, as if he were reciting everything from memory. And his black trousers were too short, and they could see a long, thick green wire attached to the inside of his leg. It came up out of his socks and then disappeared under his trousers. John Keel commented that he had not heard of this feature in other MIB cases. Was Tiny wearing electric socks? Was he a wired android operated by remote control? And he departed in a 1963 Lincoln, Andy. Okay, I'll call it a Lincoln, even though it says, the story says Cadillac. I know, I'll come to you on that in a moment. But it says now, to the theme of this article, first and foremost, the Men in Black are nothing like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. The Men in Black themed movies were good fun, and they still are. But by presenting the Men in Black as employees of a secret organization that wipes out dangerous aliens, the assumption is that they're human. They are not. There are so many weird issues surrounding the real MIB phenomena. Now, those same issues strongly suggest that the Men in Black are something else entirely. Over the years, I've addressed more than a few different theories of what the MIB might be, and the list includes time travelers, tulpas, thought forms, demons, extraterrestrials, interdimensional creatures, and more. But let's stay focused on the biological robot angle. And the fact that the MIB do seem to act strange and in a robotic fashion. There is the matter of their skin. More than a few people who have been confronted by the Men in Black close-up have noticed something very strange. Eerie, in fact. In many cases, their faces appear to be plastic-like, not unlike a nightmarish, hideous mannequin, or a creepy old doll come to life. Moving on, Gareth Medway notes that the Men in Black talk in a very odd way. He mentioned that they seem to recite, quote, everything from memory. And I have several such cases in my files. In one case, the witness said that the MIB appeared to have no actual understanding of what it was saying. The wording, the witness suspected, was programmed. And on top of that, there's the matter of the somewhat clumsy, jerky fashion of walking that the MIB have. Certainly, this is not described in every case, but there are more than a few such reports. And finally, there is the angle of food, or rather, from the perspective of the Men in Black, a distinct lack of food. That's right, the MIB have a distinct aversion to food. They don't even know what food even seem to know what food is. And perhaps the MIB are biological robots, and they get their sustenance in a distinctly different way to us. None of this proves that the MIB are biological robots, but specifically, as an extremely controversial theory, it's not a bad one. No, I don't think it's a bad one at all. Not too bad. I've heard a lot worse.
Nah, I think it's
It's worthy of
plausible
discussion, yeah.
it's definitely a theory that can be out on the table regarding the
I don't think it's
like
any more ridiculous than time travelers or any of the other things they mentioned, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, it just you know, like you said, the aversion to food, or like they don't even know what to do when somebody like offers them food. I mean, that's a very basic human thing. You know, I mean, even a child knows that when they're offered food, they know how to eat it, you know, and so
That's if they're human.
yeah.
Yes, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. See, that's the best Wookiee in the house. Don't go anywhere. You know, Scotty's sitting on about our Wookiee soundboards. He's got the best Wookiee inside him.
I'll just do it. You just told me when.
Yeah, I'll tell you to get ready to do the Wookiee, man. And yes, I am hiding behind an emoji tonight. I thought
You
that
have
was
to do one puff passing though.
Yeah,
You go-
sure. I was either going to take that or Mr. Poop, Mr. Hanky, the emoji poop. I thought, nah, I can't make myself into a poop head every time.
It's funny because when you put your arm up there,
know.
it actually looks like the hand from the emoji. Like goes to your arm.
It totally does. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I think of everything, Auntie. Come on, man. My OCD, I was lining up that hand so it fit right, or it wouldn't it would have hurt. It would have hurt, dude.
Kept shape shifting into an emoji. He's becoming one with the internet now.
I know.
He is the internet. Kev is just an emoji.
At this point, Scott, maybe being an emoji might be a good thing. I don't know. You'd probably get out more if you were an emoji, right?
Hey, you know, it's interesting, you know, talking about that Men in Black thing. It reminds me of G-Man from Half-Life, the game Half-Life. And
Yeah.
G-Man even had that robotic talk. He's like, hello, Freeman. You know, and he's like, you know, he has that look and everything, the kind of pale face and the, you know, just the robotic look.
Yes. I can't believe we've only
Yeah.
got one segment to go, boys. That's dang, been quick.
Yeah.
A whistle stop of woo.
Especially since I missed the first hour, but you know,
That went really quick as well, Andy, didn't it?
Fast.
Yeah, man. Right, I'm watching the time. Andy, you get your Wookiee warmed up, man.
All right.
Why can't Brian make a noise like that? Brian's just half the man that he used to be. Has he gone and got all woke? Has Brian gone and got all woke? I'm going to slap him about after the show. You're going to pimp on Brian. Put on my happy face to my growly face. Yeah, it's not happy. Time. Thought we'd missed our time coming back there, boys. Dang, dudes, dang. So, I think I'll be back tomorrow before the mainstream. Let me get rid of that bloody emoji. There I am. Yes, I think I'll be back tomorrow. I didn't want that confused look on the face there. For an earlier stream tomorrow. Hang out, we'll goof out, we'll look at some. I don't know, we'll find something. And then hopefully Scotty and the boys will hook up again later on at night and we'll just goof out. We'll try and find something on a par with, what were those people called again? You know the ones, Scott. The ones that like think they're animals and things.
Oh, the mental shifters.
Mental shifting. Can we talk mental shifting? Maybe.
I'll dig something up. I'll dig
it.
something
We'll
up.
dig it. Here we go, Andy. Get ready, right?
All right.
Right. 3, 2, 1.
How dare you?
Dang, dude. That was an impressive Wookiee. Wasn't it, Scott?
You know what? I think we need to have Andy's DNA tested. I think maybe 23andMe might show some Wookiee lineage.
Do that again, Andy. Hang on. Do it again, man. Do it again, right? 3, 2, 1. So wait, it went like this? Yeah, see, I've got a little bit of your...
Oh, he's
see?
got you soundboarded, man. There you go.
That's like just as quick as that. Ding, caught. Are we
Look at that quick draw McGraw. Quick draw McGraw on the soundboard.
We're going to open up the phones. Do you want to? Will we?
Let's do it.
Right, hang on. I need to find them first. Here we go. Okay. So then, we've got the phones open. If you want to call into the show, and we would love you to do so. There you go. And Jules, if you're out there, you can actually come on and tell me about the right hotel this time, since I made a mistake, as always. If you want to call in, folks, it's 213-233-3998. 213-233-39998. Now, if you're over here in the UK, 0044 203 393 2871. That's 0044 203 393 2871. So we do have a caller on the line. Now, I don't know if they're just listening in because they've been on for ages, but it's area code 502. Welcome to Freaky Friday. No, there's nobody there. I think they're just listening in. I love that, man. That's pretty cool, dude.
In from their Lincoln.
Oh yeah, talk to us then, dude. Talk to us, because why did you almost get triggered there? Tell the audience why it is that you get so hot under the collar when...
I know my Cadillacs and I know my Lincolns, and there is not a single Cadillac that anyone has ever seen in association with the Men in Black. They're looking at a Lincoln. I broke it like 100% down, and I am like, I would sell everything I own and put it up against my theory if I was ever to see one. Unfortunately, I'd have to take a picture with my phone so that I could prove it to everyone. But if the Men in Black ever came to my house, I would guarantee you, if it was in the 50s, that was a Lincoln. If it was in the 60s, it was a Lincoln. If it was in the 70s, it would have been a Lincoln. It was never a Cadillac. People don't know their cars, and that's the reason why they say it's a Cadillac, because it's a big black car, but it's a Lincoln. So, sorry.
A big shout out to Nancy in the chat room. Yes, Nancy, your name's in blue now. I've been waiting to see you so you could get your wrench back. I was talking about you earlier on, Nancy. It was all good. It was all good. We were talking about random number generators and quantum woo and all the good stuff. And I was saying how, it's usually Nancy that reminds me about that stuff, Scott, because, you can get caught up in the weeds. You can go down rabbit holes, current events, and you sometimes lose sight of all the other stuff going on. But then you go back and you look at the remote viewing, and the kind of quantum woo, and wow. All of that's still there, all going on. There's like so many different things going on in the planet, different levels to the game. It's crazy, man.
The woo is multifaceted, and it's hard to keep track. There's so many different
Dude, you look away from the call board for 1 minute and it starts glowing hot. Right then.
Whoa. Oh, all right.
Okay, then. So we're going to Kansas City first. How about that, Scotty, eh? Oh, local. Area code 913. Welcome to the show. How you doing? And who are we talking to?
Hi, this is Tiffany Billieu.
Oh, Tiffany, it's fantastic to hear from you. Welcome to Freaky Friday.
Thank you.
And what have you got
Thank
for
you.
us today?
Well, I have a ghost story for you.
Oh, yes, please.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was traveling to see my sister in the Netherlands in about 2012. And I've never been out of state, so I was really excited. And we actually went to the Kinderdijk. Have you ever been there before?
Yep.
The windmills?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have. Yep. Beautiful
So-
country.
It's beautiful. And it just feels like you've gone back in time when you come in there, and the water's all running, and it's crazy, beautiful there. But I didn't realize there was all these windmills lined up against the river there. And so I was there with my sister and her family, and we walk into the main windmill that was like a museum. And I didn't realize that they had set up the windmill as a house. So when you walk in, there was like a creepy mannequin, little kid in there. And my little cousin was like, or my nephew was like, "Hey, this is creepy in here. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here." And I was like, "Yeah, it is kind of creepy," because they had like an ironing board set up and like a hearth and a stove and everything. And so I walked around and saw the little bedding area. And then up the stairs, you could hear the whirling of the windmill going round and round. It's really super loud. And the whole inside of the windmills are open, so you can see the mechanism turning around and around. And it kind of makes you dizzy. But I went ahead and went upstairs, and upstairs I saw in the window there was a lady dressed in blue, and she looked up at me, and I was like, I didn't just see that, so I just decided, nope, I'm going to go up the other stairs. And so then I walked up the stairs and went on the third floor, and I walked around for a little bit, and I went back downstairs, and I looked at her because I was like, no, I didn't just see that. There's no way there's some lady in the window. But she was like a full-on form, and I couldn't see through her. And so I raised up my camera to take a picture of her, and she shook her head no at me. And I said, oh, okay. So I wasn't scared of her, but she basically had this feeling like she was protecting her home, or she wasn't like scary, but she was like, I'm here, I'm serious, this is my house, I'm allowing you to look at it, be respectful. And I was like, okay. So I just shook my head yes, and I decided to go back downstairs and got out of there real fast. And my sister said she was feeling nauseous up there on the second floor. And I was like, yeah, you know why? Because there's a ghost up there. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, wow, that's crazy. So that's my Netherlands ghost story.
Now, that is a brilliant story, but I have to ask, are you quite comfortable with spirit and things like that then? Because it didn't seem to bother you too much compared to your sister.
Oh, no. Well, my sister isn't sensitive to it like I am, but
so so you've experienced stuff like this before,
I've seen things before. Yeah, I've had to live in a haunted house for a little while. And the minute I walked in the house, I walked up on the staircase, and I looked at my friend, and we were just staying with her for a short period of time because I was on hard times. And I looked at her and I said, is this house haunted? And she looked at me and she said, sort of. And I'm like, well, sort of. Either it is or it's not. And she's
Yeah.
like, well, we've had ghost hunters out here and we've caught orbs and things. And, you guys were talking about orbs earlier. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've never seen an orb. I don't know, what those are. But anyway, so she said, well, they've caught some red ones and they say the red ones are demonic. And I'm like, oh, great. So I'm bringing my 2 little girls in to live upstairs. She says, the closet, the doors open and shut on their own. And sure enough, we go upstairs and she has hook and eye latches on all the doors. So I'm like, oh, great. So we're going to be sleeping in a house where there's some hauntings. And she says, the bathroom door, like the doorknobs will jiggle, and she hears help me. And I'm like, great. Because this is in Paola, Kansas. And they're out in the country in the middle of nowhere on 300 acres of cattle land. And they have these spooky barns everywhere, like a dairy barn. And, at night it's super dark. And me and the girls, when they came in, they were scared of the house. And I was like, yeah, it's a farmhouse. And I didn't tell them that the house was haunted. And so basically the main thing you felt when you were in the house was you felt like something was chasing you up the staircase. So, and then there was a parlor right by the staircase as you entered the house. And what you would feel is something was peeking over around the corner at you. So it was peeking around the corner, and then it would chase you up the steps. And you just always felt like uneasy and like something was watching you. And then one of the rooms was darker than the other rooms. So I can't explain that. But anyway, my kids were like, Mom, I feel like somebody's trying to chase me up the stairs. And I'm like, you feel that too? And they're like, yeah. And they're like 5 and 7 at the time. So they were little bitty, and I didn't tell them anything. And so one day when they were gone to their father's, I started getting upset with this thing. And I said to it, because it was like by the parlor and it was kind of hanging out. And I was like, hey, what are you? And it kind of puffed up like a little cloud, like a pillar of a cloud. And it tried to be a little girl. And I said, no, you're not a little girl. What are you? And I said, you need to get out of here. You need to leave this place. And it looked at me and it said, I don't have to leave until the owner of this house makes me leave.
Whoa. Oh, that's cold.
So what I found out was the owner of the house had been playing with the Ouija board in there. And who knows what she let loose in there. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not letting my kids, be subjected to this. And we moved out, and that was that. So sometimes you can't, sometimes it has a right to be there. It's been invited in. And sometimes, you can pray all you want. And most of the time I pray and things go away. But I don't know. There's things that have happened to me that I don't quite understand. But those 2 instances were ghosty kind of things.
So
there's been lots of spiritual things, but I've never seen full-bodied. I've seen angels over my kids before too. That's something I'll be praying for them and see angels over the kids, and that's pretty cool to see.
Tiffany, you said you've had a couple of strange things happening. Now, I don't know how much you want to share. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to share it, totally understand. But there's no other caller on the line yet. We've just got that same number that was listening. So if you want to share any of these experiences, I'm sure me and the guys would, and the audience would love to hear this. And maybe we can help you out. Maybe we can add our kind of opinion on what it was you were experiencing,
I have a question for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why don't you go, Andy?
Yes.
What blood type are you?
I don't know what my blood type is. I'm a positive something.
Not a negative then. Not one of Jimmy's negative.
Not a negative.
No. No. That's quite interesting.
I've always felt, been sensitive to that kind of thing, and my mom always said that. there'd always be a room in the house where I didn't quite like it, or, you know, when I grew up, well, what was going on? I was getting divorced, and I had some tough times, and I think that sometimes the bad energies kind of flock to you when you're having a hard time, too. So.
Yeah, it's almost
But a
as
lot of
if they
things I see when I'm praying. Sometimes I'll see things when I'm praying, like I'll have visions, or I'll see things. I did see like a demon one time, and it was screaming at me, and I was like, "In the name of Jesus, get out of here!" Because I was scared, because it was screaming, and it would scream, and then it would run out of the house. So I don't know. Some of them, sometimes they just are difficult to. I think there's a hierarchy in the spiritual realm, and some of them are more powerful than others.
big time.
And I think sometimes
the guests that were on yesterday, Steve and Jen Hodgson, Steve's book,
Mhm.
I was reading through that, and I tell you, he really, you talk about a hierarchy, and he was listing all the kind of ancient demon names and their place in like the legions of hell. And there's some that are grand admirals, there's some that are commanders.
Yeah.
But,
and there's some that are watchers.
Yeah, I was really
There's
blown
some
away
that
by
I
this.
think they're just, yeah, they're positioned to just watch you and report in on you. And yeah, I've had that happen before too.
Well,
At an
Tiffany,
ex-boyfriend's house. Yeah, that's creepy.
wow.
But I haven't had anything happen lately, so
Well, touch
that's
wood,
good. I'm in a
touch
better
wood, because
place.
I hope this
Yeah.
phone call doesn't stir up any of those energies.
Oh
And
no,
I'm glad you're in a
I
better
don't
place
think
now.
so. Yes, I am. I love your show. I love you guys. You're awesome. I try to listen at any chance I can get.
Well, Tiffany,
So
we love you, because if it wasn't for people like you, we wouldn't be here, okay? So what a fabulous call.
Yeah.
Can't thank you enough. And Scott, I'll give you the last
Oh.
word. She's your neighbor in the state there, man.
yeah, I know.
Fellow
Kansas
Kansas.
proud.
Yeah.
You're not too far away.
No. Just a quick little drive, you know. No,
Are you
look,
close
I think
to Topeka?
Yeah, I'm just east of Topeka, like just outside of Topeka.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm in
Gotcha.
Tecumseh. I'm in Tecumseh, Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kansas is kind of an underrated hotbed of paranormal activity, to be honest. I think there's a lot.
I think we have a
going on.
lot of history here.
Yeah,
And
we do.
the thing about the Missouri and the Kansas hating each other, you know that some folks from Missouri came and burned us down, so we have some history with the Lawrence fires and things like that. So that could be part of it, but I don't know. I've been to Gettysburg, and Gettysburg has a really sacred ground type of feeling to it.
Tell me about that, because
that's haunted for sure. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where the big battle in the Civil War. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you ever go there, you just step out of the car and you have this reverent feeling like something big has happened here.
That's
This is a serious, and it's hallowed ground. It's very, very heavy. Like the ground is, the air is heavy, and as you're walking around, it's a big, huge place, and there's memorials all around it. And as you walk up the Little Bighorn and all these other battlegrounds, you can just tell these guys knew they were going to die, and they did it anyway. You know, they fought, and it was just a serious, like, once you see the lay of the land, it really gets into your brain.
You know, it's
how serious.
It's the same over here. There's a place just outside Inverness, and in fact, I mentioned it earlier on with Andy. It's up near Clava Cairns, where the stone circle is, and it's Culloden Battlefield. And that's where
Uh-huh.
the English beat the Scottish there. But you can still feel to this day,
Oh,
it's same as Gettysburg. I think anywhere where you have these
yeah.
massive battles, you know, all of that trauma,
Oh,
all of
yeah.
that violence,
It's and
you
all
can
of
feel
the
it.
yes. It's just yes. It's you can feel it. Yeah.
Well,
The
Tiffany,
sadness and
I can't thank you enough for calling in. Honestly, you've what a call. Honestly, you've near enough been on for the full segment here. Have you got any other ghosty
oh.
stories? Because I think we should just keep Tiffany
Well.
till the end, guys. What do you think? She's been such a star. She has.
Uh, it's been a pleasure, and that's my main big ghosty stories. I get little things at church sometimes. I'll be praying and I'll see rainbows, and I'll see angels over certain people, praying over them, and
You know,
at
that's
church.
nice
I
though,
haven't
because
seen that in
we
quite a while.
yeah we
Nice
often
to see positive
yeah,
things.
we often concentrate on the Ooga Boogas, guys, the dark stuff, the
Mhm.
demonic, but it's nice to hear somebody that does see spirit, and there's good ones out there too. Call
Mhm.
them angels, call it
Yeah.
part. You know, that's good.
Yeah. I have
Yeah, I
seen
think
battles between the good and the bad. I've seen them lining up on each side of a churchyard, and it was like they were getting ready to go to war. And I heard the click, 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 click of chains, and a gate got raised up, and
Whoa.
like a chariot kind of tool, like a chariot kind of vehicle got raised up.
And you
And
see this
then
in your
they were,
mind's eye?
I see this in my mind's eye.
Wow.
Hmm. And I was visiting a church at this time, and they were going through a pastoral shift, and I didn't know that. But as my mom was there, and I was like, Mom, I'm seeing this stuff, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And then as the pastor came out, he was talking about the shift, how they were getting rid of a pastoral member, and I don't understand. I don't remember the details of it, but there was some sort of a battle getting ready to happen, and there was negative, bad guys, and then the good guys. So there was going to be a battle, and I've seen that several times. So that's very interesting. And what's neat about the angels is they're not small; they're huge. Like they're as big as a room, and they have big wings, and the ones that I've seen anyway. And they're almost, you're scared of them almost, because they're serious like a soldier. They're not like cowering or like a people
Yeah, it's not
size.
love
They're
hearts.
big.
They're not playing hearts.
They're huge.
Yeah, they're not like little
And
cherubs and
the
things
ones
like that.
I've had have had weapons. Yeah, and they have helmets on, and they are not playing around. And they're there to. And the one, when I was praying over my one daughter one time, it looked at me, and I heard it say, I'm going to protect this child even from you, if that comes to what it needs to be. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm going to do my best to be a good mom, but I'm praying, that God watches over my girls, But
Tiffany,
and then there's been times when what?
we're almost out of time, but I have to
Okay.
I have to thank you because
Oh, you're welcome.
no, I mean Scotty, he's nodding his head as well, and Andy's probably enjoyed. You've been an absolute star, and it's because of people like you. That's why it's
Aw,
always worth
I
opening
was
up
so
the phones.
nervous too.
See, what did I tell you? This is the best show
Yeah,
to
you're
phone.
easy to talk to. This
You
is
see?
the best. Yeah.
No, you're the best. Everyone out there's the best, and on behalf of everyone, I thank you for sharing that, because it's not easy phoning up,
Oh,
and
you're welcome.
that was a brilliant stories, and I look forward to hearing
Mhm.
from you again. Okay.
Okay.
Now you take care. Stay safe, and Scotty, I'll let you wrap up with your fellow. Is it a Kansasite? Kansas
Woo,
near?
Kansas. He doesn't even like the Chiefs, so I don't know about you.
Oh,
But
nice.
oh, what's
Call-
going on?
Calling me out on my okay.
Oh, it's okay. We still love you.
Brilliant. Oh, Tiffany, now you've
Yeah.
definitely, I tell you, you should have your own show, But thank you so much,
Oh,
Tiffany.
no.
You've been brilliant. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome.
Okay, now then,
Okay.
folks, I'll be opening the phones up next week, Tiffany. You feel more than free to join us again. And thank you for calling
right,
in
thank
today,
you.
okay? Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
There we go, folks. Guys, how cool was that?
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, really good. And she got you a good one, Scott. She got you.
No, I was about to say I knew the day was gonna come when a fellow Kansan, and yes, Kev, it's a Kansan.
It's just a Kansan, not a Kansanite. No, no.
Yeah, it's just Kansan. When a fellow Kansan was gonna call in and just call me out on my Kansas City.
So does somebody from Arkansas get called an Arkansan? No. How does that work?
Yeah, it's an
They do get called that as well.
Arkansan.
See?
Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Arkansas.
oh, see, we're cool. We're cool. We're cool. We're all good. We're almost out of time, and we've had one caller. I thought we would have hundreds of callers, but that one caller was as good as 100 callers. Angels.
Yes,
what about the battling? What's that all about? Good against evil lining up.
That's a constant, man.
That's what
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Good against evil. People seeing it, you know.
It's a never-ending battle. It's constantly happening.
Well,
And-
listen, we're almost out of time, and I hope, folks, we've taken your mind off all of that stuff for 3 hours. I hope you've enjoyed us diving into the X-Files. I hope you've really enjoyed hearing one of our own, Tiffany, sharing some great stuff. And Nancy, I have to agree, Spooky Andy has been a great addition to Freaky Friday. Yes, indeed. But don't tell him too much, because his head will get big. So we'll just tell him that and keep working on it and that. But no, absolutely agree, Andy, you're a star. Scotty, so glad you got your equipment fixed. And folks, don't panic because Brent Thomas is on the way. We're out of here. There we go. Yes, indeed. The music didn't come on at the end there, but I seen the time had clicked on to like, that's us out of here. But yeah, that caller was superb. And wow, dude, I think there's something about your state.
There is. Like I said, I think it's completely underrated as far as like paranormal goes. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of places around the US that kind of get all the attention for being haunted and you know, and all of that. And then, you know, you got Kansas, you got the Midwest here, which is like flyover country, and a lot of people just ignore this area of the country in general. Well, you know, when it comes to a lot of things, not just paranormal, but there's a lot of I think there's a lot of woo to be found out here. And you know, like Tiffany said, I mean, back in the day, man, I mean, this rivalry between Kansas and Missouri, you know, that was actually born out of like real hatred and real bad stuff that happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read up on the history of that one for sure.
Yeah, you know, and that you know, that goes back to the Civil War and all of that. And there was a lot of atrocities that were committed. And like she said, you know, people came from Missouri and burnt down Lawrence, Kansas, and you know, there was a lot of bloodshed that took place out here. There was a lot of battles and a lot of forgotten stuff that happened in the Civil War that, you know, a lot of those other battles, you know, like Gettysburg and all of that, you know, more in the eastern area of the United States get a lot of the attention. But there was a lot of stuff that happened out here. And that's why I wonder, you know, how much of these hauntings and the stuff that is going on here in Kansas can be attributed to a lot of that, because there was a lot of I said a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff that occurred. You know, it wasn't called Bleeding Kansas for nothing. You know, that was so yeah, I just think, you know, how many of these farmhouses are located on like old battlegrounds or places where a lot of this stuff took place? I mean, that's kind of what we're speculating about. Maybe some of the activity at my house, right? You know, this girl that may be tied back to the 1800s, maybe around that Civil War time frame. Did something happen out here on this land back then? Just the small little town that I live in, Tecumseh. I mean, it was named after a guy who was a Southern loyalist, right? A Confederate loyalist, and he started this city basically because Topeka was loyal to the North. That's the thing, is Kansas was kind of like neutral. It was like neutral battleground where you had people from both sides fighting here, and it was weird. So I don't know, man.
Well, I'm gonna have to get going. That's what I know, man. But it's about 3 a.m. Well, it's not about 3 a.m. It is 3 a.m. And I've had a blast, as I always do on Freaky Friday / Strange Saturday. That's why now I set the kind of live stream to start 5 minutes before midnight. So technically, I do kind of start on a Friday into the Saturday. You get it. I want to thank Andy. Thanks, Scotty. Scotty was going to say something there.
Well, I was just going to also add, like, on top of the Civil War stuff, then we got all of the crazy stuff happening just with the Wild West stuff in general. Just all of the stuff in like Dodge City and
true.
Just all of that. And then the Native American stuff, another layer. It's just layer upon layer of things, I think.
The Kansas Triangle.
Yes.
There we go. So, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this half as much as we have. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it more than we have. But you know what I'm saying. And I'll be back tomorrow. Keep your eyes on the channel. Be back tomorrow night as well. Usual time tomorrow night, probably. I don't have any extracurricular activity planned. There's no Saturday guest lined up. So, should be 8 p.m. East Coast, 5 p.m. West Coast, and that's what? 1 a.m. in the UK. Yeah, I think I've done the math right. So until next time, folks, keep it real. And just one last time, we have to hear this, don't we? Not that one. That one. Definitely that one. Definitely that one, Scott. Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, definitely. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Oh, and it's the scary music as well. Oh. I've got a new toy now.
Oh my God.
Are you serious? Are you serious, guys?